welcome back YouTube audience to NODWIN Valorant Challenger South Asia, driven by Orangutan with our styling partner Phillips, One Blade. We have got the matchup between Velocity Gaming and Godsreen, and Kelly and Sai are already starting off with a bit of banner. We always love that. These two guys are good friends, so it makes a lot of sense too why Kelly did that to him. And oh, also a little kiss. I like that.
Yeah, we already saw their head-to-head. The stats don't lie, and both these players are damn good. But with their personal relationship with and against each other, that makes this map much sweeter to look at.
I just love the fact that these two are just massive friends, like good friends, and all these players have known each other since a really long time. Their history goes way back, not just in Valorant, way back. So makes a lot of sense why these two teams are probably going to have a lot of banner even inside the game. So we're seeing them at the Rasu on the stage over here, right next to Doma. On the other hand, we've got Side Dreams, Labor, and Autumn. That sort of dictates something. Right, we know Emperor is going to be playing or replacing Side Dreams if there is a map where they're going to need an anchor or hardcore anchor. But now we're seeing Side Dreams being played. That means there's a high chance we can either see Haven or Icebox, because so far these two maps is where we've seen Side Dreams play on, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the numbers indicate. That's what the stats say. If that is indeed in the map veto, then it's going to be a bit of a dicey affair, because the last time these two teams faced each other on Haven, it was a 13-11 victory for Velocity. And I know a win's a win, but I mean, it's a bit too dicey. You can't afford to take that risk again. Are you really sure you want to go for a rematch on Haven? Or is it that the fact that Sai can be versatile enough on many other maps as well? So if that's going to be an issue, then the map veto is something I'm really looking forward to. And honestly, that is what will determine the outcome of this game for the most extent.
Soon enough, we're going to be moving on forward towards the map veto, and both these teams are definitely having a lot of pep talks being done. Just a little bit of encouragement given away to each other, and now we're going to finally move on forward and take a look at the map veto. This is going to be a huge icebreaker and might also astonish us, because as I said, there have been certain part of the maps, or there has been certain maps where these two teams have showcased a lot of mistakes, and these two teams have showcased a lot of strengths in certain maps. Let's move on forward and take a look at the map veto, as Godsreen are going to go for the first ban. And they're going to go ahead and ban out Fracture. Let's see what VLT got for us. Icebox being banned out. An interesting option being done, but Godsreen is now going to select the map. And this will really be a crucial one. It's going to be the first map where we're going to kick things off. And it's going to be the map of Ascent. Wait, what? Didn't Godsreen lose out against Reckoning Esports in Ascent like 13-6? That was a steamroll.
Yeah, that was indeed a steamroll. So them picking up Ascent is a big problem. I hope they've fixed up their problems, because if they lose to Reckoning, then they definitely have a problem against Velocity as well. So Ascent's gonna be a bit of a dicey affair. Now, when it comes to Pearl, I kind of have a big, good feeling about this one, because even though Godsreen lost Pearl against Velocity last time, they only lost it 11-13. So I think at that point, Velocity can still, have a little bit of a threat. Godsreen can turn the fact around. But yeah, Ascent is a big problem. Godsreen also played pretty well on Ascent. They beat Militant Esports 13-2. So I think Pearl is going to be evenly contested, but Ascent is a problem, and the fact that it's the first map kind of makes me worried for Godsreen. I hope they know what they're doing.
I hope too, man. Let's move on forward and take a look at the agent select, because this is going to matter quite a lot as well. I highly doubt we're going to see any sort of experimentative plays. These guys will probably stick to the comfort zone, because this is the elimination bracket and you do not want to make some last moment experiments, so you probably just want to stick to your comfort zone. That's what we're seeing over here. Nothing out of the box. These two guys are going to go for double initiator, one controller, and one sentinel and a duelist in the roster. It's pretty much a mirror matchup.
That's what most games in Ascent look like. Mirror matchups, always on the scene. But hey, look at this! Godspeed is finally on venue. I'm happy for that. It's been a while since we've seen Godspeed himself be along with the team physically. We've seen Cyborg be a part of the coach seat, in the matches before this one. But then again, Cyborg was more of a manager to the team. Godspeed is the head coach. Now that he's here with the team physically, that should definitely help them.
let's see how much it's going to help him out, to be honest. I mean, as you said, considering now a man like Godspeed is there behind the seats who is going to try to guide the entire team forward, let's see how much of an impact Godspeed is going to have in their performance. One thing is for sure that Godspeed, they're definitely quite ready, and now we're going to move on forward towards the map of Ascent. Godspeed versus Velocity, where Velocity will start things off on defense and Godspeed on attack.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Two of the finest teams in Valorant Challenger South Asia going up against each other in an elimination match. Not the kind of place you would have expected these teams to find themselves in. But now they just have to play with the cards that they are dealt with and hopefully keep themselves alive in the tournament.
Exactly, and we're already going to start off with a technical pause over here, Crips. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's a routine, it's a ritual, not even a routine, it's a ritual at this point. We have to just start with it. Any fiery matchup cannot begin properly without a tech pause. It's a rule. You just gotta have it. You just gotta.
Out of charges.
You know what's quite interesting to me? God's Reign, whenever they play on Ascent, their mid-control is never the problem. It's mostly their extremities that create a difficulty for them. Even Reckoning Esports was able to overwhelm them with their superpower executes. I wonder if God's Reign will have the same trouble against Velocity. But for now, Velocity already starting off with quite a lot of mid-defense. Excali dies, but Droma trades it out. He's got no other backup available. He continues to fight all by himself, and that's gonna be a problem because now they both are lost. And mid-control available to God's Reign. But will they use this mid to B execute though? They have their players in position to crunch B from both the sides. However, they aren't making their move yet. They're expecting Velocity Gaming to come up with a counter. And here it is! Hellfighter! He doesn't just go for the counter, he flips the round! A double kill for him, super impressive! And the spike is dropped ahead of the smoke. Recovering it will be a hassle. Can they actually pull it off? I'm feeling nervous about this one. Oh, that is disgusting. Hellfighter with a quad kill. Turns the tides, and it just seems like God's Reign had an early advantage when they fought mid. The fact that they wait long enough to let Velocity go in for the adjustment ruined the round for them. Even though God's Reign were prepared for Velocity to come and fight towards mid, they wanted them to do it. They just didn't expect the fights would turn out like this.
Shutting them down. Flash.
Wow, that's a fast dash in from Echoes and Doa, both of them. And here it is.
One enemy
This fast-paced one doesn't really work. Doesn't really work out for Godwin, but at least Sai gets one. That's a consolation frag. Yeah, not the best outcome. So Velocity hold on to their horses. And
Interesting stuff. Velocity, I mean, here we go. 2 rounds off the bat. Let's see how they're going to be able to convert this momentum forward. And once again, we're going to head inside this technical pause, right? This ritual continues. We're just trying to get the bad luck out of the way as quick as possible. But this was quite a fiery round indeed. Velocity knew the opponents are on an eco, so you might as well just keep the pedal to the metal. And
yeah, but God's Reign, by going for that force spike, kind of ruined the economy for themselves, at least for the next 2 rounds. Their purchase was just to enable them to get into the side and hopefully fight fire with fire, but this really fast approach that God's Reign adapted towards the B side kind of blew up in their faces. The moment they had the jet dash inside, there was no backup available over there, so she lost the 1v1. The rest of them were kind of decimated by the crossfire between the guy on lane 2 as well as Market.
yeah.
There was even a reveal put through the smoke so that anyone who's trapped inside Market can continue fighting even though their lines of sight have been cut off.
Mm-hmm. Interesting stuff. And now this is where it's all going to come down to. A bonus round, of course, for Velocity and God's Reign. A chance for them to convert this round into a victory. Don't exactly know what this technical pause is for, but hopefully it's going to be resolved soon enough. But Crips, speaking about this map and how the history has been looking like, as we said, God's Reign on Ascent, They haven't looked that well in the past, but hopefully they've got something well prepared against a team like VLT, because VLT, when they played against Godlike Esports in the past, they went to an overtime on this map. So maybe in that matchup, Godstrain have found a sort of a kryptonite to try and counter down VLT.
Yeah, I mean, Ascent is not the strong suit of either of these teams. While Velocity struggled against Godlike, even God's Reign themselves struggled against Reckoning. Now, of course, the caliber between Godlike and Reckoning Esports is quite large. There's a big difference between the two of these teams and what they are capable of. It kind of showcases us that Ascent is neutral ground for both of these teams because they've struggled in the past. And they're just hoping to enhance each other's weaknesses, find little gaps and exploit as much as they can. They're not playing to each other's strengths, they're playing to their enemies' weaknesses. And that also is a fair approach, I guess.
Good way to start off the bonus. Considering Godsreen are in eco, so things are going to be continuing to hurt. Superior weaponry is not available in the opponents. On the other hand, even Velocity, they've only got a Bulldog and Spectre, or 2 Bulldogs and a Spectre. But if they're going to hit shots like that, then definitely the opening will be found. Something that Velocity should not try to give it away. Got his hands on the Bulldog, and now he's going to position himself quite close. Just going to let him slide in, and Godstrain, on the other hand, taking their sweet time. Showing the patience gained, but a good spam from Doma won't find the first man. Eccles is there to try and get another one in the hands. It's a chain effect. The first one dropped, the second one follows it up, and now there's the third man. Doma once again on the site. He's looking to take down another man, but Hulk straightens it out perfectly.
Yeah, at least they found an entry into the site and the ability to plant as well. Godsrain find a narrow blade of timing, which Velocity can't use to provide their players backup. Oh no, Report. He offered them a fight all by himself, easily traded out as none of the members of God's Reign were in position to help each other. Trade setup not found, and Velocity find the round. Good way to get 3 in a row. And you've kept the more expensive weapon, the Bulldogs, alive, so I guess they don't even have to invest too much into the next one. They can fight fire with their Phantoms and Vandals, even an orb available on Doma himself. But even the Bulldogs can continue finding value.
Yeah. I mean, they're managing to rack up a lot of money. That's for sure. And VLT, this booster is really going to sort of help him out, considering Godsreen, they went for a force on the second round. It didn't really work out for them. So yeah, VLT, they're already having a decent amount of start for themselves, and this can definitely give sort of a momentum swing in their favor already. Godsreen, on the other hand, though, moved up forward. Also got scanned by the KO knife. And that's the exact KO knife that I'm talking about, Crips. That knife right there is unbreakable. You cannot break it at all. And we're finally seeing that being utilized by one of the players.
Yeah. No counter to it. And even if you want to somehow counter it, Godsrain will have to give up early A main control, which I don't think they're comfortable with. Now that the smoke's cleared away, Velocity's time to defend this has arrived. Godsrain used the timing to dash inside, but Autumn will be greeted by Hellfighter. He threw in that paranoia, which kept everyone else back. And as soon as Autumn swung, nobody else was right behind him to follow up. 40 seconds on the clock. Most of Godsrain utility has already been expended. They don't have any more smokes available. They don't have flashes either. All they have is Styx's paranoia, and I don't think that's going to be enough to clear it out. Matras finds the timing, and so does Doma. But hold on, what on earth just happened? Sai with the double of his own? He's flipped the round. Now Godsrain can actually go for the plant. But can Velocity punish them before they tap the spike?
One enemy remaining.
Wow!
That operator's gonna strike him down. He knew the size behind that box. Was able to shut him down in the close quarters. Unfortunately, Doma was still able to win that duel against Bubora, even though he whiffed his initial knife. So, I guess that's good news for VLT. 4 rounds back-to-back in their favor. And we're seeing some friendly neighborhood stuff in the arena.
Yeah, between Deathmaker and Antidote. I think Antidote was convincing him to wear a pair of glasses and make him look all pug life guy. But Deathmaker is not the kind of guy to showboat around. He's always been quite focused.
Spike planted.
Speaking of focus, that wallbang from Doma though, so good.
This time though, you can see Kelly He's changed up his position. Last time it was towards the A side, and now he's towards the B side.
Shutting them down.
So, I mean, somewhere down line, there's having a little read where there's a high chance that Godsreen will probably try to push mid or even A site. And the read's going to be perfectly fine because Autumn gets blinded out. That's going to stall out the push at least for a little bit more. Velocity Gaming, on the other hand, they're trying to regain the control, or at least trying to gain the control inside main. Doma's pushed up quite deep with the operator. He knows there's right in front is the turret. As soon as he gets spotted out by that turret, there's a high chance there will be peek off of it. Godsreen playing that patient game, letting the silence speak for itself. All the 4 players just stacked up outside tree, and now they're finally going to start to make it in. But the rest of the 2 players towards main are not making any sort of sound cues. So Velocity Gaming, they're having this sort of a false confidence towards the A site.
But there's still quite a lot of time that's been burnt away by Velocity, and Godsreen haven't really made a move yet. Even if they try to go in via tree, this 0 point, it doesn't suppress Killjoy, so he can still hold on to his Nano Swarms and burn the path for Godsreen. Delay them even further. Once again, Autumn was separated from his teammates, but at least this time Hoax manages to get the frag.
Hellfighter position in Vinery. What an interesting position to be in, and now Autumn's gonna stroll on the side, was able to shut down Excali onto Heaven. From the shadows utilized to make a flank angle happen, and he was able to do so. In the flank, there's 2 people approaching him at the same time, the Sova and the Yeoman. Eccles and Hellfighter moving up together. Lockdown was initiated. The players are going to be pretty safe. No one's inside the range of the lockdown, so nothing much to worry about for the side of VLT, but they definitely need to care about this binary area. Hoax peeks out, will be greeted with 2 kills, and Godsreen, there's a high chance they probably will be given away this round as well, and they do. Operator might just be retrieved, but, okay, he picks it up.
Great one. Good round from Godsreen. That teleport attempt from Hellfighter was good enough to get them at least a little bit of warning, but it doesn't really help them secure the round. Godsreen are finally able to hit them back. I was starting to see glimpses of the same problem again, where Autumn would be the one to dash into its tree, but his teammates couldn't follow up because there was KJ Util in the way. In the previous round, Autumn did not get backup because everyone else got hit by Hellfighter's paranoia, so as long as they can keep Autumn alive, their pointy end of the attacking round will still have some meaning. Early 0 point towards the market region, thrown in by Hoax, doesn't find anyone. Meanwhile, Velocity are still holding on to their default-ish setups. I wouldn't exactly call it default because this time Amaterasu's utility has been placed elsewhere. He started towards tree. Alambot's already gone, but his Nano Swarms are towards the B side, while he himself is playing from defender's spawn. That's the major difference in between Velocity's defensive setups in the last 2 rounds. This time it's slightly different. Although with lack of a member towards tree and with Godsreen approaching the same A crunch, I think they will have a much easier time hitting the A side this time as compared to previous rounds.
Yeah, there was a turret playing for the contact, but it's being snowed off. And also the turret's taken care of, but there's an operator out on the face, and Autumn's waiting for a little peek. That should be more than good enough. Flashes are utilized to try and shuttle down the entire push, but Doma's got a surprising angle. Astonishes both the players in the front lines, and Amaterasu as well will capitalize.
30 seconds
The entire team push has been decapitated, and now it's all down to Hoax, and he will be put to sleep as well. Nice round from Velocity Gaming. They realize what they're trying to bring to the table and counter it.
Yeah, it seems like Velocity have finally figured out what kind of mid setup does Godsreen like to go, and based on that, they can figure out whether it's going to be a B crunch or an A crunch. So you saw the positioning from Amaterasu right at the beginning, right? He was towards the defender spawn area, and he was just trying to figure out if whatever noise that Godsreen are making on mid, is it to go from mid to B or is it to hit catwalk? He figured out it's catwalk, got the players of Velocity to stay positioned very early on, and they were just overwhelmed with the superior numbers. Velocity didn't even break a sweat trying to stop Godsreen in their tracks.
Interesting. Godspeed is giving out some call-outs, and I really want to see what sort of adjustments we're going to see. Keep this thing in mind. Coaches as well, sometimes they do tend to have different mentalities. Some coaches have an aggressive mentality, and some coaches can also try to prefer that tactical nature a little bit more. So let's see what sort of strategy Godspeed will try to come up with, considering now there are 3 pushes being countered completely, and that's their main way to get inside the A site. There has to be a way, there has to be some sort of kryptonite to try and enter inside the B side, and maybe that's what's being explained, because God's Ring, if they keep on continuing the way they're playing so far, the pattern is quite recognizable.
Yeah, so Velocity have indeed recognized this pattern. And not just recognized it, they've also adapted to it.
Thanks.
God's Rain, A-shot pushes, catwalk pushes have not been working. So, do they adjust this A-hit? Or do they ignore it altogether and try to go B?
Blocking sight.
Doma already detected. But that isn't really the problem now, is it? Doma can always reposition towards CT or even towards the mouth of B defender spawn.
Here.
Sure, God's Ring can get into mid region and try to crunch both mid and B at the same time because that's where they left the spike. But the spike isn't really in their hands right now. So I'm assuming that God's Ring will try to make some noise over here. Hopefully draw the velocity rotation and kill one, get a pick. Then they're gonna go back, retrieve the spike and make a move. But the problem with that is it wastes too much time and it lets Velocity get all the way up in their faces, just like Excali got towards the mouth of A main. Yes, he dies, but Velocity at least still know that A is not going to be a problem for them at all, at least not yet.
A lot of good news. Lost out on player early off, and that too in the name of Excali. Someone who's supposed to be the initiator, provide you guys those pop flashes to peek out and win those duels. But they've still got the paranoia to play off of with in the name of LFF. God's Ring,
30
similar
seconds
strat
left.
being utilized, but this time they try to bring a little different change in the approach, a little difference in the pattern, and it's now being quite unrecognizable. VLT not really realizing the fact that this changed pattern is going to catch him off guard, and that's what exactly happened. Side Dreams is able to shut down the
Spike
operator.
planted.
Could have been proven out to be a huge kryptonite. And God's Ring, they get a clean take on the site once again, showing off that early mid presence, pushing up quite deep towards market. This was a good change.
Yeah, indeed, a good change up. God's Rain made that change expecting that they will hit B, but because they found the kill onto Excali, they then decide to go for the same old A-shot approach, which up until now didn't work for them. God's Rain was just trying to hit the mid plus B region. You saw it by the spike position, right? And yes, God's Rain were indeed looking for picks. They didn't try to make moves on their own. They were hoping to find a kill towards defender spawn, hopefully on Amaterasu, so that the B approach would get easier. And most of the time, Amaterasu either places his util on B or on Catwalk himself, so they were initially looking for him. But hey, I think they will be happy with getting a kill onto Excali as well. And now that they spotted Hellfighter also extending further towards A main, they realized not many people will be available on the actual A side itself.
Yeah.
Catwalk's gonna be weak.
And I think it's because of that KO lineup too. Now you're seeing God's Ring sort of hold back towards the main area. They're not showing early presence at all because they know that there's a knife coming towards their way, the 0 point, which is unbreakable. Cannot even go for a counter on that. But Excali's not going to do that this time. Instead, he's going to hold on to his 0 point. Because there's some different pattern being shown once again. God's Ring, they're going for early mid contention once again. And Vapor was able to get away with one. The second one as well is being found. And Autumn was able to shut the man down in the close quarters. Doma! What a scan with the dart. Was able to get away with one for himself. But now there's another man in the close lines in the name of Vapor. He's managed to chip out quite a lot of HP onto him. And Doma needs to play things a little bit more passive and safe. Velocity Gaming, are they really going to go for this commitment? They do. Peek out through the smoke. Amaterasu and Doma, both these guys are really trying to be aggressive, trying to bring the aggression on the table. It's a 2-on-2 scenario. Pullable within each sides. Nothing can be said. What's going to be the course of the game so far? With that spam, God's Ring, they gave away their position, and now even that turret's going to give away their position. So somewhere down line, they do know that both the players are towards the B side, but finally from the shadows used, Tix will get a free plant.
Yeah, that's good. As soon as God's Ring give away their position, at least they're able to still figure out that Velocity have their player station towards market. They avoid the trap, they avoid going towards B. And they found the timing window, which buys them quite a lot of space. These can plant without any difficulties. Now that Vapor's also arrived on scene, they both can trade each other out. Time is ticking. Yeah, this lockdown isn't gonna do much. It still leaves quite a lot of space towards A main. It's not as deep as you would want it to be.
Cover going out.
But at least it'll vacate the site.
remaining.
And that's what they need so far. Domo was way too low. And Tix manages to find the last man in the nick of time. We'll shut him down before the detention was there. Nicely done. Another round in the favor of God's Reign. Something that they really needed. And now they've also found the momentum breaker, the icebreaker for themselves. Let's see for how long they're going to be able to bring that variance inside the pattern.
They definitely.
One enemy
It
remaining.
was quite a bold approach from Tix to stay inside over there. His main purpose was to play towards Generator so that even if he does get detained before he gets a kill, he can play towards the south side, and from that position, Vibor can actually trade him out.
Revealing
If not,
area.
use him as like a very, very effective bait. This time, again. Oh, nice sweet shot by Amaterasu. And now that he detects everybody, Velocity are sure they're heading towards the B side. Even the early aggression from Hellfighter towards A main confirms that fact. Spike carrier killed, and God's Reign, they're still adamant on hitting the B site. Even with their lack of numbers, they are able to get there before Velocity is able to stop them.
Yeah. All the 3 players on the site.
Spike planted.
And Hunter's Fury popped out. Position known. 1 player's being tagged up. Instantly shut down as well. Eccles not inside this retake scenario anymore. It's a 3-on-3 situation. Domo was able to find one with the Marshal. So the Marshal has tasted some sort of blood and is looking to find a little bit of more of the players in the front lines. Peeks out, gets another one. How is this man able to find those connections with just a Marshal?
One enemy
Those
remaining.
2 quick taps on the enemy, and now 1 more man to go. HellFF. He was able to get 1, but that's all he's going to be able to get. God's Reign, another round on the court, another round on the table. Make it 4-5. They've managed to nullify all the lead Velocity were able to build.
There's a clear difference in their playstyle before and after the tactical timeout. You see, before the tactical timeout, God's Reign were actually making quite a lot of effort to get towards the mouth of Catwalk quickly enough, or get towards the bottom of mid quickly enough.
Remaining.
After that, they slowed all of this down, and it was so slow that Velocity often felt uncomfortable without finding early contacts. So Velocity started pushing out to gather information like one usually would, and that's when God's Reign would punish them. But this time, once again, after playing slow for 3 rounds in a row, God's Reign switch up the pace. They try to go towards A quite fast, and they pay the price for it. Fragment in the way, even the Hunter's Fury committed, leaves God's Reign in a very awkward spot, and a spike in the... It's in an even more awkward spot. It's going to be nearly impossible to recover this one.
Yeah, I think so. Even the 0 point got the scan off, right? So they know there's a lot of players present outside A main. We are seeing some heavy stack even being done from the side of VLT. There's 4 players available on the site. Also a couple of crossfires being made. The tree area is sort of being checked by Amaterasu. He's making sure that no one's going to be able to sneak in through the catwalk area, so they know that the tree area is being watched and being guarded. Finally, the presence spotted. Amaterasu does not want anything to do with that battle. Will fall back. There's a high chance now we might just see the approach even from the side of tree. You instantly do see the quick adjustments from Echo.
Cover
Looking
going
at the
out.
back lines. But this crossfire they've got set up is going to be quite deadly.
30 seconds
There
left.
was a trade on the board, and God's Reign, they knew that now approaching this side is going to be next to impossible. So you might as well try to give up on the hopes and dreams and try and bring something new to the table. Once again, Side Dreams, he's managed to find a stroll from the tree area.
Last player
Fired out quite a lot of bullets, and Eccles finally, SNS the smoke fades. He gets his chance on it, the man, and he will shut him down. A quick execute was there from God's Reign. They try to burst in as quickly as possible, but that crossfire, it shut the entire intentions down.
It's quite a clear strength and weakness that God's Reign is displaying over here.
30 seconds left.
Big weakness,
One enemy
hitting
remaining.
any of these sides fast, regardless of whether it's A or B. Big strength, they play it nice and slowly. Velocity get uncomfortable, they try to push out and gather info. That's when God's Reign punished them. But what's gonna happen if Velocity stop pushing ahead at all? What if they're just happy taking the area that they're being offered? What if they don't venture forward and God's Reign never find the pick? Or worse yet, God's Reign try to make some really fast moves which end up the spike, which end up in the spike getting dropped like this. They're picking up the pace surely this time towards mid. At least they've been offered the market region without any resistance. Amaterasu reluctant to peek, and rightfully so.
I can't use that.
No, but at least Velocity know this one. The 0 point confirms presence towards market. And Velocity are okay with this area being given away. They are confident that they can defend the B side even if it's getting crunched from both the sides. Look at the double stack towards the B stairs. Both Excali and Echoes are present over there, so they can easily spray anyone down. In fact, they want to make a move on their own. This flash from Excali is perfect. The mid aggression has been thwarted completely. So even if this lockdown is placed on B main, it's not really going to help them much.
Yeah, the players in the back lines were still able to find some sort of trades, but Godsreen, at least they're able to get their hands on the equalizers. Well, boring the close quarters wasn't really being spotted. He will peek out once again, but the swings are a little bit too much, and Velocity Gaming, they win out their duels this time. Nicely done, a good counter for that mid-aggression of Godsreen. And now, once again, Velocity Gaming able to adapt onto the pattern. We finally saw a little bit of variance on the B side over here. Godsreen, they had the intentions to take the B side in the hands, but it was being denied so perfectly by VLT.
Exactly, dude. And we pointed out how Velocity's reluctancy to push out and gather information is something that Godsreen are capitalizing on. This time they did the opposite. They gave Godsreen a false sense of security, an illusion that they can take the mid control slowly, but then turned up the pace with that endeavor by Excali. Once again, a similar approach. Godsreen take mid by brute force, but this time they won't give Velocity the time to hit the back. They're gonna start going in before Velocity make moves of their own, and it will still be a disaster. Doma snapping onto their heads. Sai finally equalizing things out, but there is still way more difficulties to endure. Still a lot more hurdles to overcome, and one of those biggest hurdles is Amaterasu.
On the backside, he played off of his Nano Swarms pretty perfectly. Now they know the last man still available towards that region. Report peeks out, still somehow manages to win that duel, but this time, not against Hellfighter. Seals the deal, and that's going to be it for the first half, ladies and gentlemen. Quite a close affair. Of course, Velocity Gaming do have a little bit of advantage in their hands, but it's not that big of an advantage. Not a cushion that Velocity Gaming probably would have wanted, and it's definitely counterable on the defending side. Let's see what Godsreen have got prepared, but we're going to push to a short break before heading on towards the second half.
Hit for my wings, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came on the beach, I get it in.
Presenting Hyundai i20 N-Line. It's time to play.
Hit for my wings, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came on the beach, I get it in.
Welcome back into the second half, ladies and gentlemen. Soon enough, which we are going to move on forward. Now we all know Godsreen will be pushed on the defending side and Velocity on the attacking side. We did see quite a lot of switch-ups coming in their patterns where they were approaching from the tree area. Later on, they got a little bit too recognizable. Then they took a tactical timeout. And after that, we saw an instant change where they pushed up aggressively towards market, try to take the mid-region in the hands. As soon as they found the lurk being taken off guard on the defending side of Godsreen, then Godsreen started to push up towards the A side once again from the tree. So these type of changes were there, but let's see what type of changes we're going to see from VLT.
Yeah, every time VLT got curious on the defensive side, Godsreen were able to punish that and use the opening picks to their own advantage. And Godsreen, whenever they tried to pick up the pace on their own, were most of the times falling flat on their faces. They also were able to do it quite well in one of those rounds where they found mid control, but because they stopped for a second, because there was a momentary pause, Excali found the gap and he tore it open with a flash push of his own. These kind of impromptu adjustments are what's keeping Velocity afloat. Let's see if they can keep up those impromptu decisions and those adjustments in the second half as well.
Okay. Interesting stuff. Basic strat, all the 5 players are trying to pop inside the site. Flash was used to the man near the locks, is also being spotted, and he was still able to get away with 1 kill. Godsreen, that's a huge value being found. Autumn able to shut down 2 players while they're trying to make it inside. Some massive plays from the players of Godsreen on the B side. This retake is pretty much possible. It's a 2-on-4 scenario. For VLT to make any sort of something happen, they will need to try and go heroic, and they will be denied for that. Autumn with a 4K single-handedly was able to dismantle the entire team of VLT.
Yeah, Autumn finally showing up. He was having quite a difficult time in the first half. There were several instances where he would dash inside and his teammates won't be able to follow up. Sometimes because it would be the fragment of Excali that stops them, Amaterasu's nanoswarms, or even the paranoia from Hellfighter sometimes was making sure that Autumn gets cut off from his teammates and he doesn't receive the backup that he requires. But that was just in the first half. Now Autumn's found his groove again. Anchoring it from the top of that defender mouth entrance. That was really cool. Those 2 taps were fast. And then he followed up in the retake as well. Seems like he's clearly found his forte.
Yeah.
Standing ahead.
Outside the main, Velocity also gets scanned up. Recon dart's not going to catch anyone slip by. Velocity Gaming, all the 5 players just over there outside A. And once again, they're going to stroll inside the site. The floodgates are open. Everyone tries to flood in the site. They do manage to flood in, but they are not able to sustain that for a long time. Every single player being shut down. Now it's all down on Matarasu to try and find some dents. He does manage to find site, but that's all he's going to get. Instantly, Autumn will shut him down. Autumn on the defending side so far has been looking phenomenal. Let's see, or let's hope that he's going to be able to continue this flow on forward in the upcoming rounds as well.
Yeah, I mean, this round was quite easy for Autumn. He didn't even have to do all that much. They were just feeding him. With a quad kill in the first round and then another triple kill now, he's got his Blade Storm lined up. So even if God's Reign get punished economically, he's going to have that in the back pocket. He can pull it out when needed. Unfortunately, that also means that Vipora and Hoax have basically found no interactions yet. They don't have a single kill or a death.
Interesting stuff, man. I mean, this technical timeout should definitely give them a little bit of chance to try and catch some breaths and for you guys to get a chance to win this giveaway that we're moving on forward with. Win 1,000 Valorant points, ladies and gentlemen. All you guys need to do is scan that QR code and go on over towards the Hindi stream, and you guys will have a chance to win the 1,000 Valorant points. But you guys can also stick around with us and have fun watching this entire game, because so far this game is looking quite a nice game. We're having some slow-paced moments in the game, which is making this game quite predictable as well, sort of, to us, because we're able to see everyone on the map. But for God's Reign, the struggle might just start over here. Did try to pop off the Blade Storm, but it's being suppressed, at least for now, because of the KO dagger. But he will be managing to find the entry on the side. Velocity Gaming, they find a quick stroll.
Yeah, Autumn needs to be not worried about Hoax's 0 point at all anymore. He passes over his Vandal to Sai instead and played with his blades. But in this 5v5 retake, things can get quite dicey. Velocity have some really strong setups. Nobody's being Generator, but there's a double stack on Hell, and the rest of them towards A main. This is a clear vertical crossfire that they're trying to establish, which is working out really well for them so far. On Matras, Doma, Eggles, everyone with one piece. And Sai's left to his own devices. Using the Vandal that Autumn gave him in the previous round, has to make the best of it. He detects one player with his recon, but that's about it. Even though he has the information, he can't do much. At least a couple of exits will be given to him.
He wanted to catch someone slip by. He did. Just to keep their economy humble.
Yeah.
Not let VLT run away with a lot of money. God's Reign, on the other hand, they should still have a decent amount of money to go ahead and buy inside this round, and that's what we're seeing now. The Vandals and Phantoms on the board, but we're seeing a judge being pulled out from Hellfighter. Interesting stuff. God's Reign, they're going to go ahead and buy the Operator as well, so this is going to be a huge kryptonite, or might just be a huge kryptonite for Velocity Gaming, because they're having those quick bursts on the site so far, but if Tix is able to hit those shots, if Autumn's able to hit those shots with the Operator, then that push can definitely be dismantled early off.
Dismantled, dismembered, punched down in all sorts of gruesome ways. You can see he was very keen on peeking B-Link. One of his friends from mid was covering high mid, so he could get a shot onto B-Link. But now that God's Reign have a slight idea that Velocity are hitting the A site, they will try to hold on their own. The dark cover that he's inside gives him a little bit of cover and also keeps him alive. But Hellfighter jumps into it with a charge, and that's going to be their undoing.
Trades did happen back and forth, but unfortunately in the favor of VLT, God's Reign, they've lost out on the control once again. This quick, aggressive approach on the A main. God's Reign are not able to find a counter 2, not able to find the Kryptonite 2. The jet as well being shut down. That means they've got no operator available anymore. Operator taken out of hands. Velocity Gaming, they should have a clean plant for themselves, and now even they can get their hands on the op if they want to. Good shots exchanged, but in the favor of Hellfighter. Was able to shut down the man, or at least it was able to take him down way too low. Tix is now going to be humbled. He will need to try and play things a little bit safe and sound. And that's what he's trying to do. Still 3 players alive. It's a 3-on-3 scenario, or it's a 3-on-4 scenario. Definitely doable. Velocity Gaming, they've got the post plant set up, but they're getting countered slowly and steadily. Picks up the judge in the hand. In the close quarters, this gun is going to be quite deadly, and that's what he proves how to do. Excali shuts down both of them in the close range.
Man, these smokes are turning out to be such a kryptonite for God's Reign. See, early on, that dark cover that was placed by the defenders to hopefully keep themselves alive temporarily allowed Hellfighter to jump inside and rack open the sights with the judge. And then the second smoke, which is also working out for Velocity, is where the judge shines. By creating these tiny pockets of space which God's Reign have to clear manually without being able to use utility, and these smokes basically create a bunch of extra angles which God's Reign then have to re-clear. By creating these little pockets of space, Velocity Gaming are channeling their ability to use the judge so nicely. I mean, this judge changed 2 hands in the round. Hellfighter got 2 kills, then Excali got 2 kills with it. 2 different players wielding it, but the same weapon gets them 4 kills.
Let's see. In this tactical timeout, they definitely did talk quite a lot. Okay, let's see what sort of a change we're going to see now, because Velocity Gaming, they're starting to run away with the lead once again. And usually these tactical timeouts are really helping out God's Reign. When the last time they took it on the attacking side, we did see a little bit of change in the playing pattern. And now when they're taking on the defending side, I want to see what sort of a change we're going to see on the defending side. There's 3 players available on the A side. KO and Omen. So one thing's for sure, there will be some sort of visual denying utility being used on that site. Amaterasu catches a player off guard, was able to move all the way forward. And he shuts him down, already starting off with a man advantage. God's Reign, not a good news for them, considering they don't even have the superior weaponry for this.
Oh no, they don't. All it takes is a cheap judge to dismantle you. And this time Velocity have bigger guns. So yeah, God's Reign really looking in shambles. At least for now, they've read the round correctly. God's Reign are rotating towards the B side, which is exactly where Velocity's headed. But, unfortunately for God's Reign, Velocity still have quite a lot of the utility. They got this opening pick onto Autumn without expending too much of it.
Yes.
Size Recon Dot can reveal all this information early on, but it won't really help them gather too much momentum. 0 point on market. Shuts down Bebor. I mean, he doesn't have much utility, and even if he did, he wouldn't be able to stop them. And now they're crunching from both lane 1 as well as 2. The fragment lets Doma straight into the crosses of Hoax, and Bebor is actually making this work. What? Oh my god, this Sheriff is actually singing the songs of death. Size in a position which he can use to defend it successfully, but Velocity still have control of the spike. If required, Amaterasu can use the lockdown, take it forward, and go to the other side, but there's not enough
10
time.
seconds left.
He has to fight Sai now. There's no other choice. He has to go for the battle, and he wins it. Close affair, but Velocity get the round regardless.
Crazy stuff showcased. And Velocity Gaming, that was way too close for comfort considering the opponents weren't on in eco, but still, they almost lost out that round. Those are some good peaks being made. Especially with Bor being able to get away with 2, Hoax able to deny that site control when they try to push on the site from stairs. Nicely done. Crucial picks we're able to get. They were able to capitalize on what exactly the opponents are trying to bring to the table. As I said, tactical timeouts are proven out to be so helpful for them. But soon enough, they can't run out of those if not being used properly enough. And what is this strategy that we're seeing? Autumn was able to push in so deep with that updraft and dash. And Velocity Gaming, Hellfighter almost got away with almost. He could have been murdered right there in that spot.
Yeah, but a lot of these almost means that God's Reign miss all their chances, their opportunities. And so far, look what God's Reign are doing. They're just playing super passively. No utility on mid that's going to help them gather information. And even though this lockdown has been committed by Amaterasu, it's going to be a fake. And he's selling it. Look at the rotation. Hoax is starting to move towards the B side, but then at the last moment he decides against it. That's partially because Autumn found something. The drone doesn't see him. He can get a kill onto Eccles for free.
And he does. Moves back instantly. Rubor in the close quarters will be shut down due to the fragment. Had nowhere to go. Pretty much trapped inside that switch area. Spams is going to be there through the smoke, but unfortunately not able to find anyone with that spam. Definitely going to be a little problematic. 4-on-4 situation. The trades are quite equal from both the sides. 11-6 is the scoreline, so that means the pressure point is now on the players of God's Reign. Velocity Gaming, they should be a little bit chilling on this spot. Considering they've also got the post plant set up, every single player is just stacked on the site. There are perfect crossfires being held from every single player. This retake is looking a little tough unless utilities are being utilized in the proper way.
Suppressed.
Nice suppression, but it's okay because Velocity weren't playing on the util anyway. They were just playing on the crossfires. A single flash on Hoax isn't enough to get them all killed, but at least he's able to follow up along with Autumn. Even Fix now chimes in for a frag of his own, but Amaterasu's keeping the hope alive. This man, he's stepping up beyond his means, beyond his measures, and he's done just enough to get Velocity the final round. They're on map point now.
Good stuff. Amaterasu, he got those kills pretty nicely. His teammates were able to soften all the players up in the front, and then Amaterasu, all he needed to do was pick out, and get those kills in his hands. Perfectly done from VLT. As I said, the post-plant positionings are looking really strong from them. So it's going to be tough to make this retake happen, and that's what exactly happens. God's Reign not able to get their hands on the site once again, and they fall out completely. 12-6, and so far it's looking like a one-sided stomp.
Get out of my way.
We saw these problems coming, but God's Reign, they've picked their poison, so now they must drink it. A valiant attempt to hold tree doesn't really yield them anything because Velocity are pushing them back. Hoax forced to reposition towards heaven instead, and he missed his 0 point too. No, you can't afford to make these kind of mistakes now. Tix isolated on the site. The only person who can save him is probably Hoax, but there's no backup available. A flash from him lets them get one kill at the very least, but Thomas over aggression keeps that in check as well. Amaterasu playing late look, shuts down Sai, and now Excali's got the better of Hoax too. It's all falling apart.
Planted.
Velocity can grasp this. They've almost got it in the bag.
Indeed they have. One more needed. And Autumn is the only man left alive. Hoax is still knocked out. At least manages to get the man who was trying to overextend. And Velocity Gaming, they sealed the deal. Nicely done from their side. God's Reign, even though they get defeated with that one-side affair on their own map pick, the upcoming map is now going to be VLT's pick. Which means they're going to be looking quite confident on the map of Pearl, ladies and gentlemen. Not a good sign for God's Reign if you are their supporter. Because Ascent, being such a huge team role, you can already imagine what the outcome can be on the map of Pearl. And keep this thing in mind, VLT, they have defeated True Rippers on Pearl. And True Rippers' Pearl was looking unstoppable. It was looking unbreakable. But Velocity Gaming still managed to find a cure for that. So you can already imagine what sort of force this team is in on Pearl.
Velocity looking really sharp. God's Reign went for a gamble, and they have not been dealt the right cards to play this hand with. Because of this, they will now be forced to take their chances on Pearl. Ascent is already gone, and their map pick is now out of their grasp. What are they going to do?
A huge question that only time can answer, ladies and gentlemen. Before now, we're going to push to a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hit for my wins, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the bench, I get it in.
I know my destiny. I know my destiny. I know my destiny. I know my destiny. I know my destiny.
Said YouTube audience, welcome back to Valorant Challenger South Asia. We're gonna move on forward towards the map 2, and we are over here taking a look at the Asian select.
Yes, welcome back, YouTube audience, once again. And for those of you wondering why we keep welcoming YouTube audience specifically, it's also because we have an English stream on Loco. And another cool thing that's happening on Loco is that on our Hindi stream, we're giving away 1,000 Valorant points every day. So you better go ahead and claim those. There is a little lineup change for God's Reign this time. They've picked up the Breach. Now, keep in mind that previously when God's Reign tried to play on Pearl, their lineup was Astra, Fade, KO, Killjoy, and Jet. They did not have the Breach up until now. Hopefully this composition change is going to help them.
Let's see how this composition change is really going to bring some sort of change overall, but I thought we're probably going to be seeing a change in the playing five, but no is going to be the answer. Ember's completely sitting it out, I guess. It's at this matchup, and Side Dreams is going to be playing it completely through, so interesting change. Side Dreams is going to continue on forward with that silver role. Let's see how much of an impact this man's going to be able to have on this map of Pearl. But on the other hand, we're going to be kicking things off with a pistol round, where B main seems like the take, or seems like the way to go for God's Reign.
Oh, wait. They didn't activate that star. I thought they would take it back and create a temporary cover for themselves. but instead they're going for the brute force approach. Fault line towards the right-hand side of Halls. Meanwhile, the left-hand side will be covered with the Cloudburst. Although not perfectly, it's still going to be enough to let Autumn dash inside. Doma peeks ahead of the smoke, hoping to pick up a kill or two, but instead Echoes and Amaterasu do it. B-Link isn't covered, so Excali can also chime in with a double of his own. And the severe gaps in God's Reign execute give Velocity a clear advantage. Folks overwhelmed with the superior numbers finally falls, and Velocity Gaming pick up the pistol without any difficulty. Keep in mind,
as you
ladies and
said,
gentlemen, the last time that both these teams faced each other, they had similar lineups. Both Fade and KO were being run by either team. This time, God's Reign have changed both their initiators.
as you said, there were definitely quite a lot of gaps over there, and considering those gaps, that's why VLT were completely able to win. But if God's Reign would have extended all the way to the backside towards Elbow, then I guess if they would have gotten the elbow control, things could have been a little different. But that one single play, one single man, that single threat towards Elbow sort of changed things quite a lot for Velocity Gaming. And they're able to execute the entire, or pretty much just take down the execute of God's Reign completely. Another technical pause on the board. We should probably get it resolved soon enough, but the first round in the favor of Velocity Gaming. The second round should be as well, considering the opponents are just on an Eco, Shorty, Sheriff, and Marshall. I highly doubt it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, because Autumn has purchased a Shorty, I'm assuming he's just going to use the Cloudburst and dash in towards the back of B side with that Shorty, hoping to kill anyone who's present over there. Most of the times, it's Amaterasu marking the angle, but not this time. Amaterasu has changed his setup. He's posted a heavy A main KJ util setup, basically just covering it with Nano Swarms and an Alarm Bot. Meanwhile, B is being marked by Doma, who has the Spectre, as well as Excali, who's got the superior weapon at range, the Bulldog.
Interesting. Probably some close angles will be held, and for God's Reign, they'll just try to make something happen out of nowhere. Some quick push maybe towards doors. Can definitely do that. But pulling anything off inside this round is going to be next to impossible. So we're just going to wait for this round to be passed by and move on forward to the third round. But once again, B-Main's going to be the execute. In long ranges, this will definitely favor Velocity Gaming. They've got the better weaponry in general. If there is a Bulldog marked up towards B site, it should definitely give them a huge advantage. Autumn sneaking up, close. Shorty in the hands. If anyone is going to close off the distance against Autumn, he should have an upper edge, but I highly doubt that's going to be the case. Autumn will probably try to dash on the site with his Cloudburst. He does. Maybe manages to find one, and he does as well. So those are quite good openings. I thought for pulling out anything against God's Reign, things might just be a little tough, but Doma proves me exactly right.
Before still making his way inside the smokes, playing hide and seek, finding a tiny opening. He spots out Hellfighter, but the moment he sees him, Hellfighter debates him with the shoulder peek.
Not a lot of damage done, man. That's completely fine. Bonus round is going to be continued on forward by Velocity Gaming. On the other hand, God's Reign, this is where the Vandals and Phantoms will be on the board for them.
Autumn's shorty strat kind of worked out. It's unfortunate that Doma was able to pick up the weapon that Excalibur was wielding and continue dishing out all this damage. But look at this, Velocity aren't upgrading their weapons. The two players who died, I thought that they would purchase the Phantoms or the Vandals, but instead they hold on to the Sheriffs and Frenzies. God's Reign have all the better weaponry, and this time they're heading A. Amaterasu hasn't changed his setup all that much. The Nanoswarms are still available to burn down time. Autumn dashes in. Amaterasu, with this range, he can be deadly enough. The flashes of the breach aren't decent enough to blind them both, and Hellfighter and Amaterasu still find the openings. At this range, the Spectres can deal quite a lot of damage, and God's Reign are being shut down. It's gruesome, it's brutal, and the run and gun from Hellfighter just lets Excali get such a funny kill. Even Dab was surprised by that outcome.
The run and gun, man. Classic strat, and Sai's not happy about that. Oh, man.
Definitely can't be.
Yeah.
The frown on his face is so apparent, so obvious. You can feel that primal tilt. And like I said, the flashes from Hoax didn't really do the job, but the counter flashes from Velocity side, the ones that Excali tossed, it blinded everybody.
Let's see what they've got on the board now. A 0 point was utilized. The scan went through, but only a couple of players being found out.
I cannot use
They've
that.
got this bonus
Take
weaponry in
flight.
the hands, and as you can see,
Here.
the drone's being used, and Velocity Gaming, they're going to try to force put themselves back. That's what exactly he's done. Doma being forced out of that spot. He will need to give it away. And this is where Godsreen, once again, will probably try to execute the similar stuff that they did in the previous round, where Autumn will probably dash on the side in the Cloud Burst and try to take out the player who's playing all the way in the back lines towards Elbow. But if this time he's able to do that successfully, then that can be a little problem for Velocity Gaming, considering they've got the better weaponry inside this situation. On the other hand, your opponents are only on an eco.
Velocity aren't playing this aggressively at all. The Haunt gets broken instantly. It confirms Velocity's beliefs of Godsreen being too HP. And they're prepared for this one. Look at the positions they're holding. Doma's probably going to peek ahead of this smoke in heaven. And if he dies, it's not a problem because the rest of the players are also present over there. Xcali towards back halls, one more towards A-Link. All this should be enough. Aftershock, though, was actually incredible. And Eccles was even pulled into it, which allowed the shorty on Autumn to strike with full effect. But even after all these efforts, it's not enough. Vibor can find a weapon, but he can't find the kill. Godsrain failed this round, but you have to appreciate the adjustment. Last time, you had Autumn dash towards the back of site with the shorty to get that frag. He changed his approach now. Instead of dashing backside, he went towards Link, where a player was already being pulled in by the gravity belt set up by Tix. And on top of that, there was an aftershock thrown in by Hoax over there, simply to kill that B-Link player.
And then we saw a classic flank from Vibor.
Yeah.
That's what we've been seeing whenever we saw Godsreen on this map. That's what Vibor does. He lets his team create the distraction, he waits for a little bit, and then pushes up all the way deep from double doors and tries to get the flank executed. Colors out. Was able to spot out one player, so they know there's a man in close quarters, but they don't exactly know that he's got the operator in the hands. They should still have some sort of clue that the operator might just be in the hands of the opponents.
There.
Autumn taking things slow. Even Godsreen this time really just respecting the opponents because they do know they've lost out of 4 rounds back to back. Similar story in what happened in the previous map.
A single aftershock that was thrown in by Hoax has now called 4 Velocity members over here. 3 Velocity members over here. He tries to counter flash. It does push Velocity back, but what's the point? Velocity already have the frag they want. So now they will graciously give up this area. They have no problem in doing it whatsoever. Amaterasu setup changed this time. Nana Swarms aren't on A main, instead they are towards Art, and this is gonna create so many problems for Godsreen to try to move inside. As soon as it gets triggered, a Nana Swarm is burning before. Oh no, but Amaterasu overextends. He still finds one frag from beyond the grave onto Hoax, but that's all that he can get. Unfortunately, that's all that Velocity need. Oh, wait a second, Vibor's snuck into the smoke. He can surprise somebody if he plays his cards right.
Indeed he can. Just waiting over towards the flower area, but unfortunately looks away at the wrong time. An Hellfighter was able to shut down the man who was over aggressing in the front. Tix on the site all by himself. Autumn knows that there's a man in the back lines now. Every single player's position's compromised. Both these teams know where exactly each other are positioned, but Velocity Gaming, that double peek was perfect. They were able to try things out, and Eccles with just a run and gun, and also is testing his crouch button on the opponent's body. Classic stuff. Velocity Gaming, another round in their hands, and they're not letting Godsreen have a chill at all. Maybe now this is where they need to bring in a tactical timeout. Godsreen, they aren't able to get any rounds in their hands so far. Even this buy round lost out, that means in the future times, they're going to have to go for an eco.
Yeah, Godsreen look quite disjointed. They're not able to use Hoax's utility to the best available potential. He used that aftershock, hoping that he will be able to break any turret or alarm bot placed over there, but even if they did so, they didn't capitalize on that area well enough. It gave Velocity enough time to position 3 members on B-Link. They killed Sai, and then while Godsreen are hitting Art, the Nana Swarm is actually boiling out so much of their HP and so much of their time, it allows the rest of Velocity members to position themselves on A.
Yeah.
I appreciate what Vibor tried to do. Knowing his team has the man disadvantage, he needed to somehow get an edge, and maybe he could have acquired that by surprising anyone to its flaws. Nah, that didn't work out either. So, God's Reign are making the right moves, but they're making them at the wrong time. And all those mistimed moments allow Velocity the edge. They give them the advantage.
You cannot even say at wrong time, right? The setup was there. And that setup is quite a common setup in general. So you need to know that the Nano Swarm and the Alarm Bot setup's going to be there, or at least they're going to try to play it off of the turret. The KJ has been there since a long time. That's what her main dominating way or main dominating playstyle is going to be towards Arch. So this should have been recognized. They should have probably tried to scan out the Alarm Bot early off, but unfortunately they were not really able to bait out those Nano Swarms quick enough. And Vapor just straight up walked into it. So, yeah. I guess the reads in general from God's Reign this time were a little weak. They should have tried to bait out the Alarm Bots and also try to bait out the Nano Swarms, but that didn't happen. Cosmic Divide used, so they should have to clean side take once again. Autumn is already just positioning himself quite deep on the site. The spike goes down as well on default spot. Nothing out of the box.
Planted.
Yeah, but this time Velocity are going in for a massive flank. Keep in mind, up until now, Velocity have not tried to flank yet, so maybe this can surprise God's Reign. There is a turret placed over there, so the backstab will be detected. But they don't know exactly how many players are there. This Rolling Thunder is definitely going to keep Velocity at bay, at least for the time being. Long enough to let the lockdown pop out. Doma, one of the only players on the front lines, will be taken down, but now Amaterasu takes his place. All of the people coming in from behind. It's going to be up to Sai to hold them back. He baits out with both, but at least he's able to capitalize on the frag by getting echoed instead. Very little time left, so Sai just needs to hold on for a second longer, and he's doing it really well. Excali left to his own devices, but the time has mostly run out.
Oh, God's Reign, they tried their best. And they got the round in the hand too. Finally, a round they really needed. Once again, this tactical timeout helping them out. As I said, these timeouts are definitely proven out to be quite helpful for them, but you cannot keep on getting those tactical timeouts over and over again, because soon enough, this pattern is going to be recognizable, and Velocity Gaming should be able to read what exactly God's Reign have brought up, that switch up that was brought up. I mean, they had the Cosmic Divide available, and that's why there was a main reason why they got the round in the hand too. But now, as they don't have it available, let's see what they're going to try to bring on the board.
Yeah, God's Reign win a thrifty, but they had to use 3 ultimates for it. Rolling Thunder, Lockdown, as well as the Cosmic Divide utilized to get them this one round. But now that Velocity have all their ults too, it's gonna be a big problem to even get into the site. Doma's holding a much more passive angle this time, something that Autumn doesn't expect. And for that, he will be punished.
Well, players towards main. Operator nullified at least for now. Doma being forced back, so the operator's not going to be a threat, at least for a couple of more seconds, but Doma pops out the Blade Storm and was able to shut down the player in the front. Burn in the sky, he's able to hunt down the players, and now 2 more to go on the site. Still they have got the site control in the hand, but unfortunately they don't really have the man advantage or the man number to sustain it. It shouldn't be that tough for Velocity Gaming to get the grip back inside the Hansen. The player in the close is quite low.
Nor they have the smokes to keep themselves a safe place where they can plant. Velocity are already pushing inside. The blades miss, but that's okay. He's done his job already. Side trapped in the backside. Deafened, flashed. All his senses being stripped away from him. Leaving him with nothing but his gun. And there's already a flank in the works. He gets the frag onto Excali, but he's now being offered a 1v1 against Hellfighter. A 1v3 clutch by Sai to keep the dream alive.
Wait. Velocity Gaming threw that. There's no way! They threw that! Overconfidence right there in that moment. And Velocity Gaming, they could have played it off of each other so well. But instead, a man in the close decided to push up forward and give that kill on over towards Sai. Oh, that's a complete throw. With 6 HP, this man was able to mantle that clutch up. I mean, that's a good news for God's Reign. Sort of this momentum now, or this breaker they've found, they can keep on moving forward with this one.
Yeah, and Velocity are not happy about that one. Sai was deafened, flashed twice, and still able to pull that out. And now, as a result, Velocity will retaliate with aggro pushes of their own. They've got Hellfighter pushing out of A main. Meanwhile, there's an op placed towards the mouth of B.
Placing alarm bot.
God's Reign will have to fight their way through if they want even an inch of this map. They're happy to hold for the time being, but eventually God's Reign will have to go inside. There is a clear opening towards Art. No defense is posted up in that region. Excali's making his way back to the A side, which might make things harder, but since Hellfighter is the only player playing aggressively on A main, he might just not get any backup if God's Rain challenge him all at once.
Yeah, but keep this thing in mind. Amaterasu's also got his hands on the lockdown. He's not exactly on the A side, but still, that can prove out to be a huge stuff. If the side is being taken away from God's Rain, they have managed to get the arts control in the hands. Excali's playing quite passively in the back lines. He's going to let them flow in the site, but there's a nice crossfire setup. Eccles in the front was able to get 2. And Velocity Gaming, they sealed the deal once again, even though that the previous round was thrown away. But this time, they're not going to let any gaps unchecked.
Velocity, all it takes is one lost round for them to change their setup entirely. Up until now, Velocity were respecting God's Rain quite a lot, and they were allowing God's Rain to at least get the plant. Velocity would just defend the sites, but they would never extend towards A main and B main respectively. Now, they just aggress towards both ends of the map. Hellfighter marking A main, and that allows the crossfire between Doma and Excali to become so potent. Who would have thought that at 30 seconds left in the round, there would be a crossfire between players on Flower and A main? That's the deadliest kind of crossfire to exist on a site. And even after all that time is spent, God's Rain can't find a way to deal with it. Velocity play aggro in the previous round, and now they're back to their passive ones. They're holding defaults. No aggression this time. There's only an op in the hands of Doma, which could have been used as an Excalibur to decapitate a couple of God's Rain members. But they will at least be given this grace period to move an inch closer towards the site itself.
Yeah, the bullet just whizzes past the skull. We could have cracked it open as well if connected. They're able to get the stroll on the site. Friends in close range could definitely shut down the man in the close line as well, but that's not going to be the case. God's Rain, they do get the side in the hand, but the traits are now starting to happen back and forth. They should give it up a edge for the players of God's Rain, and that's what exactly happens. Don't know what Doma was trying to pull off there, but one thing is for sure, it didn't work out. It's all down on Amaterasu. A 1-on-3 situation left all by over to a man with the big brain. Let's see if this man can capitalize or not. A Vandal in the hand, looking to find out the skulls of the opponents. And both those players are now going to respect the man. Falling back to our individual spots. Rabor is all the way in the back lines towards heaven. Turret placed, making sure that he's not going to be able to sneak all the way to the stairs, but it's not going to matter. Rabor still seals the deal from heaven.
Isn't it funny that out of the 3 rounds that God's Rain have in this half, 2 of them have been thrifties? Velocity tried to spring something that I call the tap trap. That is, when God's Rain tapped the spike, Velocity, they spring the trap and rush all at the same time. Nah, but this time God's Rain was prepared for it. They killed every single member who tried to push out of the smokes. Velocity attempt on disrespecting the smokes that God's Rain have put up and end up paying the price for it.
Tactical timeout. These tactical timeouts have been helping out God's Rain quite a bit. But this time it's being called out from the side of VLT, so there must be some sort of vital information that the coach wants to give it away to the teammates, or to the players. And Velocity Gaming, so far with the way they're playing, yeah, they're able to get those straights in the hands, but as soon as the players of God's Rain are able to have a quick stroll on the site, Velocity Gaming are not able to get that back in the hands, and they're also losing out on quite a lot of manpower. I personally think so. The only way to stop that entire stroll on the side has to be resistance. Try and deny the site control. It doesn't matter how big of a force they are. Everyone should play off of each other perfectly and just try to resist that site control, because you guys have the better weaponry.
Yeah, I mean, they did have the weaponry in the previous round as well, but God's Rain able to pull off 2 thrifties in this half?
Standing ahead.
That kind of makes me think that weaponry isn't the problem over here. Oh, they're flirting with danger. Doma revealed, stunned. He can't dash back anymore, so he has to use his ult now. Cloudburst gives him a tiny bit of cover. He retreats using that. And God's Rain have been successful in pushing the Auber back into position, but you gotta keep in mind the Aubers thrive at long range, and now he's got the range again. Meanwhile, Eccles is already on the flank. This is quite a quick one.
You should run.
Lockdown initiated. Can prove out to be a huge one. This should force out the players of Velocity Gaming from their comfort zones. Over and over again, Godsreen are just putting a lot of pressure towards the B-man area. Eccles trying to wrap in from the back lines. Position known. Tix capitalizes. And Tix is now going to just position himself in that close quarter. Godsreen, they get the stroll on this side. Also the plants down. And now this is where things are going to go down to this post plant. For Velocity Gaming to move on forward with this economy, they need to win this round no matter what. The trades are starting to happen back and forth.
Look at this post plan setup from God's Reign. Instead of playing towards ramp, they're playing towards B-Link instead. This is such a good adjustment because now Velocity have lost one crucial avenue which they've been always successful in using for retakes. Oh, and they try to funnel inside. Straight into the crosshairs of Tix and Autumn. Flashes are perfect. Doma, he tries to fight elsewhere, but his teammates are all dead now. This round is almost gone. He's forcing the fights, but it's not going to help them at all. God's Reign with a very nice adjustment in the post plant to get the round. The Hunter's Fury used by Sai breaks the lockdown, and that buys God's Reign another lifeline. Velocity were waiting to use that lockdown since a long time, but they use it when Sai has the ult online, and that is just very unfortunate. Yes, the flank from Eccles did work, but at what cost? God's Reign were predicting that Velocity will go for a backstab like that, so in order to avoid that, they only had Tix hold on to that area, and even if he dies, it's not a problem because the B-Link area is still well in the grasp of God's Reign.
And Tix didn't even die with that flank, so it's completely fine. He died on the site later on when you try to close up. So yeah, a good adjustment and a good read. They knew that there will be a flank, but it's not going to be a heavy flank. Because once they got countered in the past with only sheriffs in the hand, so they didn't want to go for the gamble, and Godsreen knew exactly that. Instead, they positioned themselves towards the link and try to cut off any rotations from that side. So yeah, nicely done. Sheriffs in the hands of the players. All the Velocity Gaming, as I said, the previous round was quite important for them, and now they're on an eco. And once again, Godsreen are just doing the similar thing. They're hitting the B side over and over again. And fortunately enough for them is that Velocity Gaming haven't really found a perfect counter that so far. We're finally seeing some sort of resistance being done from the side of Velocity Gaming, and it's sort of working out in their favor so far. The traits are 2 for 2, and Godsreen, the spikes dropped in the close quarters. It still not went down, and both the players in the back will need to push up. This is exactly what I was talking about. Resistance has to be the name of the game. It doesn't matter what weapon you have. Just push up and try to get those kills.
Last player standing.
Oh, and Doma is certainly getting all the kills he wants. All in the hands of Sai. He's clutched out a 1v3 before. A 1v2 seems easier, but
10 seconds
this time
left.
he even has to plant the spike. And he doesn't know where the enemies are. He knows only the position of Eccles. Doesn't know that Doma's already around him.
What? No! What?
No
Oh
way!
my god! No way! No way! There's no way! That just happened.
Am I dreaming? Because this seems to be a nightmare for him. At least the last time, Sai did not have to worry about planting the spike. All he had to do was defend it. Now he was super vulnerable. Sai knew only the position of Eccles. He did not know where Doma was. And even if he did, Eccles had the advantage on him. His hands were tied by the spike, and he's given yet another clutch. An impossible 1v3 before, and now an even more difficult 1v2. Sai's clutch rate is through the roof.
Bro. Oh, the social media is gonna be blasting over this.
Right here.
Oh man, that was a whiff and a half. It's been a while, we've seen that since a long time. You gotta have those, right? You gotta have those. We're humans. We make a lot of errors. We're not perfect. No one's perfect in here. So stop clowning upon them, alright?
It's okay. I mean, it's not just the whiff that kind of helped Sai get that round. This is the second time that Velocity tried to spring that tap trap that I spoke of earlier. It once again backfired. Hellfighter 1-for-1. Sai gets another frag. And God's Reign just keep getting better and better at getting these opening frags. Excali's over here all by himself. He's hoping that a pop flash play will help him get the advantage, but the moment he pulls the flash out, he dies. Oh no. No way Velocity get timing like this.
I mean, it's not even about timing. When you know B's being pressured that hard over and over again, you're not supposed to do that. What is happening to VLT? How are they not able to quickly adapt to this? The pattern is so easy to recognize. Just hitting the B main over and over again. Initially, they're creeping and crawling way too deep. They're holding on towards that, and then they're having a quick burst on the site. And Velocity Gaming are still falling prey to that. What is this, back-to-back like 5 or 6 rounds now? They've done that, and it's working out perfectly fine for them. And they've almost managed to nullify all the lead that Velocity Gaming had built in the first half.
Jesus, man, this is not happening. Hey, at least it's still 6-all. At least it's not game over yet. Velocity had the opportunity to turn this into an 8-4 half, but I think they'll be happy with a 6-6. Yeah, but those 2 rounds that were given away to Sai, that's gonna sting them. It's gonna keep them awake at night.
Yeah. And I feel really bad, whoever was not able to land those shots, because, man, I know what goes on around in this community, bro. I know what goes on, and trust me, it's going to be talked along for a really long time in the future as well. But ladies and gentlemen, so far the first half being quite competitive, quite entertaining as well. Soon enough, we're going to move on forward towards the second half, but before that, you guys know what the deal is. We're going to push to a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hit for my wings, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the wings, I get it in.
Presenting Hyundai i20 N-Line. It's time to play.
Hit for my wings, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the wings, I get it in.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, into the second half for Velocity Gaming. Has lost out all the lead they had over Godsreen, and this is where Godsreen will now probably have a chance to try and capitalize once again on the defending side.
Yes, this could have very easily been an 8-4 half.
Let's make
But
progress,
Sai
my
is
friends.
able to keep
Make
the hope
progress.
alive with 2 clutches. One of them was a 1v3, which he pulled off purely by his merit. The second one was gifted to him. And now God's Reign are on
Bring them
equal
down.
footing. Velocity could have had a dominant defensive half, but now they will have to make up for it in this one. They try a similar approach. They try creeping in, but a 1-for-1 trade instantly nullifies the artifacts. No more further follow-up from God's Reign. I thought somebody else will also peek after Autumn did. But hey, that's okay, because God's Reign are already going for the preemptive rotations. 0 Point doesn't detect anyone, but this recon dart might just help them get a couple of kills through the smokes. Let's see if it gets destroyed on time. Velocity doing quite well. They both tried to beat. Got traded out. Excalicantis, he just about makes it away with his life, but he can't plant now because of it. The aftershock forced him away. And now Velocity are bifurcated. 2 towards backhalls, 2 towards the entrance of B site. And now no more smokes for cover. God's Reign have arrived, so planting the spike will be even more difficult. Dix is worried about a potential flank. And because Velocity have taken their
30
sweet
seconds
time
left.
and cut sound,
Yeah.
God's Reign are falling away from the B site. This is something that they've always used in Haven, but now they're using it on Pearl as well, and the same trick works on this map too.
Spikes went down. Godsreen, they've given away the side control. They're completely fine doing so. Amaterasu, that's a good
Enemy
find.
remaining.
On the player on the front. Will need a fresh magazine and instantly will be decapitated. As soon as he looks away, Tix was able to get 2 of his own, but that's all that he's going to be able to find so far inside the round. Velocity Gaming, they start off on a great note on this pistol round. Once again, the scoreline's quite close, so even if any of the team is able to win this pistol round, it's not going to dictate a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but it's just classic Velocity now, isn't it? Make noise, get to the edge of the site. This time not just the edge, but they're actually on both sides of it. In the back halls as well as the default planting area. They cut sound, they wait. And God's Reign, who had the right idea about this B hit, start to peel away from the site. As soon as Tix goes away, that's when Velocity stick it.
Revealing area.
And what do you know, it actually works.
Swarm grenade
I
out.
didn't think God's Reign would fall for something like this, but then again, the fact that they're able to keep it at 7-6 itself is a big enough deal.
Where are you? Bring them down.
All right. Eco. Let's see how it's going to pan out.
This time God's Reign have a 4-stack on B. Good
Yeah.
luck with that velocity.
But maybe it can be broken. Yeah. Because they've got the better weaponry, yeah. So it definitely should be possible. There's a Prowler ready in Echo's hand, so he should at least reveal one player's position. Autumn inside the smoke will be able to surprise one player in the close quarter, but that's all he's going to get. Instant capitalization is there. Instant trade from the side of Velocity Gaming. In the backlines, there's another one. His position's known as well. Echoes goes huge with a 3K. It doesn't matter if it's a stack. They still win the round because of better weaponry.
Yeah, 3 people from God's Reign tried to peek out one by one from the back halls. And Eccles was marking that angle 24/7. The Spectre decapitates anyone who tries to peek out, and that's how the job is done. I can't exactly say that this was a move fearlessly moment now, can I?
Mm-hmm.
Velocity had to pause for this one. It was a good pause. Gave them quite a lot of perspective, if you might add that word. But now look at what God's Reign are attempting. They've got the superior weaponry, so they push out Big instantly.
Here.
My ult's ready.
Prowler used. Close quarters checked out. And Velocity Gaming, they show their presence towards A, give a lot of foot kills away, and instantly start to fall back. So hopefully the sound was known. There's 3 players towards the A site. Some heavy presence being shown from God's Reign. On the other hand, Velocity Gaming, this is just an eco round, so the opponents do have the superior weaponry, the weapons advantage. Autumn in an off angle, just looking to catch someone off guard as soon as they do decide to move up forward. But Velocity Gaming, they're taking their sweet time. They've positioned themselves in such pockets, some off angles that are not being expected. They're also waiting for a flank from the back lines, but that doesn't seem the case so far. Autumn's position marked, we'll need to fall back from that.
No, but look at the adjustment from God's Reign. They know that Velocity aren't coming over here. God's Reign stack up the A site. And that's
30
good
seconds
because
left.
God's Reign will be having to defend all this. The null command gets popped, but Libor's already using the nano swarms. So at least his utility doesn't go to waste. It buys them a little bit more time, and time is all they need because there's only 15 seconds on the clock. Velocity not just have to get the kills, but also put the spike down, which is very difficult in this narrow window.
A.
And
Last
peeking out of the
player
smokes makes it an
standing.
impossibility for them to get inside.
God's Reign. A clean take from them, denying that site control, perfectly done. But as I said, the opponents had the weapons advantage. So Velocity Gaming now will have the superior weaponry, and this is where things can be said a lot. Still, Velocity Gaming do have a round lead, so they can have a little bit of edge over the opponents. But let's see how this round's going to be played over here. God's Reign, a really good and a quick adaptation. They had 3 players, as I said. There was heavy presence on the A site, and it worked out flawlessly for them.
Flawlessly indeed. God's Reign able to close the score gap by just a tiny margin. But now that both the sides have good weaponry, let's see what Velocity are able to do. Apparently not much when Autumn's hitting all the shots like that. Hellfight is gone. That means no smokes. Planting will be much harder for Velocity now, and it has been a problem for them before. So now it's tougher.
Indeed, Doa's got the dash primed up. Maybe would want to dash inside, but no. Instead, we'll still try to fall back. As you said, they've got no smokes available. This is going to make things even more tougher for them just now. Materas able to sneak into pocket.
Nice.
Gets one. That's a quick shot on Hoax.
Placing swarm
Hoax being
grenade.
put to
Swarm
sleep,
grenade
falls for the trap. And God's Reign, unfortunately, Vibor wasn't able to trade things out because that kill was such a quick kill. Vibor might just fall prey, but no, it's going to be the answer. He's able to successfully resist that control. He gets the link control back in his hands. God's Reign, at least now they know the flank's being taken care of, so they can completely focus on this site. And that's what they exactly do. A perfect crossfire where Autumn was able to provide the cover fire. But Velocity Gaming, they do get the site control, but at the cost of what? It's a 3-on-2 scenario in the favor of God's Reign.
Oh no. Excali having to clear out B-Link simply because Amaterasu couldn't do so. And they lost 2 players in the process. God's Reign baited each other out
Spike
just
planted.
right enough. And now look at the flank. Excali has a narrow window. If he can make it to B-Link, it's great. Otherwise, he's going to get shot by Tix, who's already behind him.
Velocity Gaming, not a good news for them. They've lost out on the lead once again. This map is getting way too close for comfort. And I guess it's been done a lot of times in the past where teams do tend to trade those maps, right? Where they get the wins on the when the opponent's picks. This can be the case inside the Pearl too, but so far the game's quite close. It's an entertaining and a competitive series.
It is quite a good adjustment from God's Reign. Velocity tried pulling a page out of their own book. Remember how God's Reign tried to do this once?
Let's see
They
now.
planted a spike and then took B-Link control in the post plant. Velocity were hoping to accomplish something similar, but it just did not happen.
Oh.
This time it's gonna be a clean A hit. Actually, not clean, more like a straightforward A hit. Two Astra stars in the way, one of which will be used to deploy a smoke, hopefully delay them. The other one pushes them into the Nano Swarm. Not too much damage taken by Velocity in the process of accessing the site. But now, instead of just planting and playing from A main, they're taking a secret control, which is a good idea, but Hoax is there to destroy them.
Planted.
Yeah, pushing up a little too deep. Too aggressive in that plant. Just got dropped down like it's nothing. Amaterasu, the last man up and alive in Velocity Gaming. They're not going to be able to play the post plant successfully enough. Gotsreen, they're really now starting to look into flow. And they're looking forward to steal this map away in their hands as well. A flawless round from them. It was just an eco from Velocity Gaming, so I guess we can let that slide.
Yeah, but they were put inside this eco situation because they couldn't capitalize on the timings. Several gaps left open by Velocity, which make it very easy for God's Reign to either deny the spike plant or just stop Velocity from getting into good post-plant positions. And I mean, it makes sense, right? Because this time Velocity knew they don't have the weaponry advantage. So if they play from A main, the superior range of the auto rifles will easily get them killed. So instead they try to use secret, which is the right call in a situation like that. But how are they going to take secret control when Hoax is hitting all those shots? Velocity trying to crunch mid this time. This isn't something they've done
Bring
before.
them down.
There's a turret available, and they're going to try to play off the turret contact.
Yep.
As soon as it goes away, you should have some sort of presence known. Doma then peeks out for the turret. Wanted to find a prey over there, but no one pushed up. Side Dreams as well is now going to try to make the rotation. Holds off the sewers area. No one's close to that. Autumn as well pushing up quite deep with the operator. Is not going to be able to get a glimmer onto anyone.
There's a massive
So far.
gap towards B-Link though. There's a massive gap which Velocity can exploit. And you can see that Amaterasu is trying to move there. After taking A art, they tried to crunch towards B cons.
Right
And
here.
at least this area is available to Velocity, but how are they going to convert this into side control? That's the big question over here.
Echoes. Velocity
30
Gaming don't
seconds
exactly know
left.
what they're trying to do over here, but they're definitely wasting a lot of time. 25 seconds left in the hand, and something needs to be done ASAP. There's a Rolling Thunder available in the hands of the opponents, and it might just be utilized soon enough, and that's what exactly happens. Rolling Thunder used, the entire site control being resisted. Not a lot of time left in the hands of Velocity Gaming. There is some desperate time, desperate measures, and they still manage to get the plant down. No is going to be the answer. It gets
One
denied.
enemy remaining.
Oh, this is just in the hands of Gotsreen. Velocity Gaming, they wasted a little bit too much time in the initial phases, and they lose out on the site control once again.
On paper, Velocity were looking just fine. They had so much mid control. They even got cons under their own belt. And usually this much map control is great for an attacking side of the team, but this time Velocity just did not have a good idea on how they're going to convert that into site control. The Rolling Thunder went through, which kind of threw a spanner in their works, and then the lockdown just put them under more pressure because then they had to commit to planting. And when that happens, the planter himself is unprotected. They rush into the smokes, God's Reign killed the planter, and then the round was just basically theirs. They knew for a fact that Velocity can't do anything at that point. As soon as the spike planter was killed, the rest of the members of God's Reign fall back, just play for time, and Velocity will succumb to the clock.
Both the coaches really having some talking done. Godsreen are able to so far flawlessly defend the A site. Velocity Gaming, they're trying to pressure on that side over and over again. It's not working out. A switch up is needed in the pattern. They try to go towards the art area this time, but even that didn't work out because they just wasted a lot of time. As you mentioned, on paper, statistically, they should be able to win that round because they had so much map control. They had so much read over the opponents, but still, that one single Rolling Thunder just completely denied that side control and flipped the things in the opponent's favor. They can't try to replicate the same thing considering the opponents now don't really have the Rolling Thunder available, but with the way Godsreen is able to adapt, even that's quite impressive.
Once again, Velocity try the A-crunch. This time instead of a turret, there's an alarm bot. Drone sees them towards mid, confirming Godsrain's suspicions of Velocity's approach.
Bring them down.
Prowler won't really help them clear out that much. There's no players of Godsrain defending that region. But the nanoswarms have been popped preemptively. So at least that's nice. You know, as much of Killjoy utility you can get rid of early on in the round, it's going to be great. But hold on, wait, what? Velocity don't break the alarm bot. Yeah, that's going to be a problem for them later on. Godsrain will find out what they're up to.
Soon enough, they will. Prowler was used, and you can see it's being marked too. So every single info, it's been given away. The presence is being smoked off. So they've got no clue if the double doors control's given away or not. And now Velocity Gaming, they're going to try to stroll on the site. Autumn misses the initial shot, but it's completely fine. At least he got a lot of information, and now you can see the quick rotation on the board as well. Instantly starting to move on the site. They've got the site control in the hand. Autumn being forced all the way in the back towards heaven. This lockdown is perfect, but Velocity Gaming, let's see how they're going to be looking like in the post plants.
Yeah, Godsrain thought that Velocity had taken mid-cons control once again. That's why they gave away the B side to them in the first place, because they were expecting something from mid. So this bamboozle at least works out in the favor of Velocity to the extent where they can plot the spike and get into post-plant positions. Yes, they don't have the man advantage, but they can still make it work. Especially with Doma slicing and dicing like that. The run and gun doesn't work out for him, and the trades are even. Godsrain still have the numbers, but Hellfighter in the smoke goes unchecked. This could be a massive opportunity if he plays his cards right. Amatras has been revealed by the recon dart.
Oh my god,
missed the opportunity once again!
What?
You can't have this! You can't keep doing this, man! So many
Second
opportunities!
I'm sorry to cut you off, but this is just a huge heartbreaker, man. Velocity Gaming, they've missed those shots second times, and Hellfighter wasn't able to capitalize onto it. Don't exactly know what's going on the map of Pearl on the side of Velocity Gaming. Are they under pressure? Are they feeling jitters? We don't know, but they cannot afford to make these type of errors over and over again, man.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if it's Vibor with the superior movement or it's just bad luck from Velocity. 3 of these rounds, 2 in the first half and 1 now, where Velocity had a massive advantage and they just let it slip past. A Butterfingers moment definitely will cause them to have some sleepless nights.
Oh boy. Velocity Gaming, alright. Well, they have managed to give away all the advantage they had in the first half, and now even in the second half, they have let the opponents gather a huge lead upon them. And this is definitely good news for Godsreen. On the other hand, let's see how Velocity Gaming are trying to get themselves together. Because they definitely need a huge sigh of relief, man. They need something. They need a mental reset.
They had all these opportunities, man. They had the opportunity to reset, but it slips away from them.
Here.
Cosmic Divide's nice. They get the plant without any trouble. Null command on top of it means that Godsreen can't use their Hunter's Fury to deny any of those spike plants. And now Size lost it as well. I think he activated the Hunter's Fury a bit too early. He thought this... he thought the null command was about to expire, but Excali had one more beam of Radiant left in him.
Oh. All the players. And this time, that's a really good reveal. The Haunt's going to spot out all the players in the back. Godsreen, they lose out on one of the players, and so far this post-plant, Velocity Gaming have managed to find out the peaks, but even Godsreen, they're somehow able to get away with a lot of murder. The players are starting to flow on the site, but Velocity Gaming this time, they gain the site control back. They deny the post plant. They deny the defuse off God's Ring. And Hellfighter redeems himself.
Opportunities missed last time will definitely be made up for, but Velocity need to keep up this charade. They need to keep up their ability to keep God's Reign back. The Cosmic Divide did a wonderful job of that, allowing them to plant without any difficulties. Keep in mind that every time that Velocity have attempted the plant, God's Reign throw counter utility at them. Sometimes it's the fragment, sometimes it's the aftershock, and that almost always disrupts Velocity. They nullified all those opportunities now with the null command. Even the Hunter's Fury that Sai was aiming for, it would have been a game changer, but Sai miscalculated the amount of ult duration that Excali had.
This tactical timeout from God's Ring. They know Velocity Gaming, once they even get that one single round, that one single momentum swing, a chance of capitalization, and they can't start to run away. So it makes a lot of sense. God's Ring, they want to just shut down the momentum where there's even a chance. That's why this tactical timeout being called. And as we said, so far, these tactical timeouts have really been proven to be so good for them. Whenever there's a tactical timeout call, we see God's Ring on the top. On the other hand, Velocity Gaming, let's hope for them they're not really making those critical mistakes, and they're able to pass the hold so far that are being found.
Suppressing.
The 0-point thrown lands late. Doesn't detect anyone though. Autumn still unchecked. And this off can be a massive deterrent. Smoke kind of negates his angle. Doesn't mean they're in the clear yet. Velocity this time going for a two-pronged approach. The spike heading in from B-Link, where the alarm bot and before himself is also in place. Nightfall though doesn't push anyone from God's Reign back. The op is still active over there. But the B-Link is leaked, and Hoax tries to defend it, loses his life in the process. Autumn's trapped now. He's lost his range, he's lost his edge, and Doma executes him. This is what Velocity needed. They're putting the pieces together.
And really nicely done too. The site take was so clean for them. This is what I'm talking about. This is the Velocity Gaming that we know. God's Ring, on the other hand, with left with no other choice than to just fall back and respect Velocity Gaming for what they have done. A good read from them, and a great way to counter the opponents.
And even though you had Autumn trying to make those difficult plays, it was necessary for him to get at least some value out of that op. But you gotta realize that all the utility that Velocity use is there to specifically counter him. As soon as he's down, the danger bells start ringing for God's Reign, and they now have to go for a forced save. They don't have money to buy in the next round, so Hoax and Autumn will be on inferior weaponry. At least Sai can provide them with some drop. He's got a little bit of money in the pockets, some spare change here and there. So God's Reign can still muster up a defense. But you can't let Velocity get this close.
Speak about that, and now they've got the weapons in the hands.
Here.
Signature Vandal Zen Phantoms on the board before Velocity Gaming. Eccles is only able to get his hands on a light armor and a Bulldog.
Throwing charge.
Can definitely be a little bit of a hole that can be abused, but he'll probably try to play a little safe this time. Eccles so far is being a man who's sort of taking those aggressive peeks as well. We have seen him do that. Doma just going to straight up walk inside the nanostorms. That's not going to stop this man at all. It's quite an aggressive push this time from the side of VLT. As I said, this is the VLT we know. Those quick bursts, don't let your opponent think over you. Don't give them time. And that's what VLT have realized so far. Those early aggressions through the sites, they're able to find so much map control and so much vital information.
This is the most important duel right here. Between the two Astras, Hellfighter and Tix. Yes, Velocity have quite a lot of mid control. They've even got cons for themselves, but they've struggled in the past to convert this cons control into sight.
Got it. Obscuring vision.
And without being able to plant the spike, it will still be a massive problem, especially when Tix is already on the flank. He gets them so much more information. Jump peek from Autumn gives them all they need towards B. God's Reign don't spot anyone over there. And at the same time, Tix from the backlines will ensure that God's Reign have the right lead. They know for a fact that Velocity are moving towards the B side, and Tix will already start things off with a pick. This stun is devastating. It hits everyone square in the face, and Hoax is now blowing their faces away. Amaterasu tries to fight back, but this is already a lost cause.
Yeah, Rolling Thunder was initiated. But still, those two players towards the link are safe, at least from that. But as soon as I say that, Hoax, he strikes back huge.
Find you.
Amaterasu picked off. Eccles to go. And Eccles is probably going to go for a save over here. He's got his hands on in light armor and also Phantom, so you might as well try to save. It's a map point for the side of Godsreen to keep their lifeline alive inside the series. Are we going to see a third map on the board? The chances are quite high of that.
Velocity keep thinking of the sconce control as something that will help them, but even after having that, they don't realize that God's Reign are letting them have it on purpose. God's Reign reinforced the sights instead, and it's worked brilliantly so far. All three attempts of Velocity trying to take God's control has backfired, and most of the time Velocity end up running out of the time. They try to make that plant happen in the last 15 to 20 seconds of the round, and at that point, it's just too chaotic for them.
That's what the problem is. With the amount of pace Velocity Gaming started off that round, it seemed like this could have been a quick take. And once again, Velocity Gaming, they try to replicate the similar pattern that they did in the previous round. They've got the entire Link's control, but this time probably Doma's going to try to dash on up forward, and that's what he does. He's got the elbow control in the hand, and Godsreen will need to respect that take and fall back once again. Autumn with the operator in the back line being smoked off. He doesn't have any visual off the back lines. Eccles pushing up deep. You should try and play things a little safe. Respect the opponents, but the shots are there. Hoax, he shuts down both the players in the front, but Velocity Gaming, they clinch their fists once again, and they gain that sight control properly. Now it's all down to the post plants. Autumn's position still left unchecked. He's still towards the main area, strolling away to the site. Smoking off in the back lines. Shorty in the close quarter should give him a little bit of advantage, considering Excali is a little softened up, but no! Autumn's gets shut down. Hoax down only 11 HP, pushes up and shuts down Excali as well. The defense is now being stuck in Godsreen. They're falling apart.
One enemy remaining.
Oh my goodness. Tix has some stylish shots, but that's all cool. That's all okay. Hellfighter has this in the bag. Oh, this map is going way too close for comfort. Autumn's position should have been a lifeline for God's Reign, but Velocity avoided him like the plague. They already had control of B-Link, so after the spike plant is done, Velocity split themselves up. Two of them take back halls, while the rest of them try to fight towards the defender's spawn. Try to fight in hell. And they end up getting quite a lot of picks over there, so Velocity are able to brawl their way to a victory. But they will need to do it once again. One round stands in between us and the third map. This could be an overtime, or this could be Velocity getting themselves the opportunity to shut things down right here and now. And a different approach from them right off the start. Instead of taking mid like they have been doing in the past 3 rounds, Velocity are playing super passively. They're hoping that God's Reign will make the first move and they can get an opening pick.
Heavy mid presence being shown this time. But not towards the doors, instead towards arts. There's a turret posted up once again. And as soon as the turret gets any contact, Nanoswarm will be activated to try and deny or at least buy some more time off for the rotation. There are 4 players on the way. And Velocity Gaming, Doma on the top like a bird. His wings shall be clipped soon enough. His God's Reign do want to have a chance of getting this post plant secured, but no, Doma in the close is able to find one. Vapor being shut down. That's a crucial member of God's Reign. And still in the close quarters, he was able to stay alive, but eventually his wings will be clipped, and now it's a 4-on-4 scenario.
All the players found the 0 point, detects so many. They know God's Reign are coming from secret. A smoke in the way keeps the operator from singing the songs of death, but now Velocity just have to spray all they can towards the spike. The Cosmic Divide is going to make things slightly easier, and Amaterasu pulls out the gun at the wrong time. Folks is hoping to cover his teammates, and they go for the full stick. We are going to map number 3.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, quite a lot of unfortunate moment in that previous map, but eventually God's Reign, they do manage to win out that Pearl against Velocity Gaming. That has been looking quite a formidable force, but they still deny Velocity Gaming on their own map pick, and we move on forward towards the decider. But this map of Pearl, it was way too close for comfort. Both these teams are definitely feeling a lot of nerves, but Velocity Gaming, they need a mental reset with the way things have been going so far. They cannot afford to make those mistakes over and over again. Those whiffs we saw, hopefully they're not going to be carried on forward in the upcoming map. With that being said, it's time for us to push to a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hit for my wins, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the bench, I get it in.
Presenting Hyundai i20 N-Line. It's time to play.
I know my destiny.
YouTube audience to Valorant Challenger South Asia, where we're going to move on forward towards the third map, and we are going to also move on forward towards the Agent Select to find out what the Agent Select is going to be looking like. As we do take a look at the Agent Select, I mean, we're seeing that ASTER being pulled out, but on the other hand, we're seeing Viper being pulled out. Interesting compositions, Omen and a Viper combo.
Ooh, that's quite interesting. Hellfighter with the Viper doubles up as a secondary sentinel on the defensive side, but for now they're starting off on attack. The Omen in the breach does help them get a little bit of aggression under their belt. But then look at God's Reign, they've got the breach and the sky, so plenty of flashes available on them.
Let's see, man. Both these teams are definitely sweating it out, especially VLT. You saw them rubbing that sweat off. Hopefully they have managed to get that mental reset that was really needed, and now we're going to move on forward towards the third map of the series, where God's Reign are going to kick things off on the defense and Velocity Gaming on the attack. As we do have the pistols in front of us, what do you think, Crips? How this map is going to look like? You think it's going to be aggressive pace from both the teams, or once again we're going to see that respective amount of element?
I think Velocity have to take this slowly. Their composition just kind of forces them to take things in a little more disciplined manner. Not too much flexibility offered because of the Viper's utility. But they put on this wall which really cuts off the right hand side. It creates a highway for Velocity in case they want to go in and plant. But the area of planting is covered by KJ nanoswarms. So now Velocity push deeper inside. They're challenging Vibor in this area and he gets away with a frag. Even the waterfall control is lost, God's Ring can easily adjust to this one. It started off as a B hit, but now it's turning into a C-side execute.
Interesting. I mean, it is a quick change, but I highly doubt this wasn't really needed inside just to pistol round. You should have just tried to be happy with the B take, get the spike plant down and try to play for the post plant, but this little adaptive nature that VLT try to show up, it's not working out so far inside the first round. And they should be countered soon enough because Excali's way too low and there's way too many enemy players in the front lines, and that's what happens. God's Reign, they get their grip on the first round.
Yeah, they tried to crunch the C site from a very risky position. The C main control was given away to Velocity without any problems, so that part is fine. But after that, the Spike had to make a treacherous journey from the B site, from Link to Waterfall, and then towards the C side itself. Yeah, there's just way too many places where you can get shut down, so God's Reign now had to struggle in order to adapt to this one. I mean, consider this, the God's Reign players who were on C side already were in process of moving towards B. But as soon as Vibor found that spike carrier, he signaled them to stay where they are, and that just doubled up God's Reign defensive powers.
And that shouldn't have happened.
It should
really shouldn't have happened. And now because of that, Velocity Gaming, they're being pushed on in eco. On the other hand, the opponents do have the superior amount of weaponry. There's 4 players stacked outside C. High chance we might just see a C take on to play. They've got 2 controllers. So technically, it shouldn't be that tough for them to get the sight control in the hand. But still, at least in the first round, they tried to pull some shenanigans off. It didn't work out. Velocity Gaming, there's a high chance they're probably going to lose out in this round too, considering the opponents do have superior weaponry.
Okay, I mean, quite a lot of time being spent over here. Nanoswarms will be popped, but I think that's what Velocity wanted. They just want to bait out this KJ utility so that when they actually go for the execute, when they actually go for the plant, there's not much resistance.
Yeah.
But look at the setup from God's Reign. They've got Autumn pushed up towards A main, so he's going to hear everybody who's now moving towards the A site, and he can act like an early warning system. The rotation from Sai is already present, but Autumn just simply doesn't want to fall back. He can continue defending this spot. He's even got backup now in the form of the breach util that Hoax is using from Link itself.
Yeah.
So Velocity can't go anywhere. They can get
30
crunched
seconds
in
left.
the
Finish.
most gruesome ways possible. Oh, it is very ugly to look at. It
Player
looks so
standing.
sketchy. Vibor is able to frag up all these kills.
All those patience shown for nothing, and Vapor was able to get away with a 4K. I mean, it's just an eco round. Don't exactly know why Velocity even went for that such a slow approach, but maybe this might just be the start of conditioning, where they're trying to condition the opponents onto something. They showed presence all over the board. They showed presence outside B. They showed presence outside, or at least towards the A main area.
Placing sentry.
No one was seen towards C, so that can be a little clue. But still,
Yeah.
I got the
God's
LZ.
Read, solid stuff. They've managed to get a bonus in their hands. So let's see if they're able to win this or not.
Yeah. The preemptive positioning from Autumn gave them a lot of information early on. He acted like an early warning system. A one-way smoke is posted up on C so that Velocity are able to at least get mound control without God's Reign being able to fight back. But now they've used up the secondary smoke that Eccles had. Velocity will now have to wait for one of his smokes to get recharged. That takes quite a lot of time. Or they have to play with Hellfighter's utility that's been placed towards the A site. And this once again gives God's Reign a good idea of what Velocity is about to do, without even actually having to take any risk. Still playing over there. Now the paranoia will force him back, but at least he's still alive.
Yeah.
So Velocity have to expend quite a lot of the utility to get very little map control, and God's Reign are very happy with it because now Eccles has nothing left except one smoke. He used it towards stairs. Another poison cloud is deployed in the same place, so this is Velocity not using the utility in the most efficient way possible. 30 seconds left, and they
30
now have to
seconds
make
left.
the risky endeavor of hitting the A site when there's 3 stacks available over here.
Yeah.
And he's doubled up. Okay then, this now opens up the B side. God's Reign have slipped past. The opportunity is gone.
Spike will go down. And God's Reign. 3-on-5 scenario. It's a bonus round, so they're probably going to try to commit no matter what. Side Dreams is chipped up a little bit too low. Hellfighter gets his hands onto Autumn.
Player standing.
God's Reign was able to trade it out, so unfortunately for them, Side Dreams is going to be the last man alive. Velocity Gaming, quick adaptation, but a little bit too much time wasted in the initial phases. This could have panned out really badly if Amaterasu wasn't able to find that pick on to B.
Yeah, exactly. And it was Amaterasu who won them the round. Keep in mind that whatever moves Velocity were making towards C, towards A were being read by God's Reign very well. So tactically, God's Reign did nothing wrong. Even when Amaterasu found that first frag, that could have been tanked by God's Reign. They could have been okay, even though Amaterasu was able to find that kill. It was the second frag. It was the second frag from Amaterasu that broke the camel's back.
Here.
Once again, Velocity starting in a similar fashion. They take control of C Mound, and then they're gonna probably fall back. Maybe hit some other site. Even if they commit C early on, it's not gonna be that big of a problem. All that Velocity needs to do is get the kill onto Tix, who's still adamant on holding this region, but he survives this onslaught.
What?
And he's doubling up! There's no way he should have been able to get that one, and it's
Yeah.
already too expensive for Velocity. The rotations have arrived.
Oh no, it's a 3-on-3 scenario. Velocity Gaming, as you said, the little rotations are arrived as well. Spike in the hands of Eccles, and he will fall down all the way to the B site. We'll get the spike plant down as well.
Enemy down.
Hellfighter, on the other hand, he's found himself in quite an interesting
Spike
angle.
planted.
Amaterasu pushes up the limits. He finds the man all the way in the spawn. Autumn being put to sleep. Pokes in the close quarters. And Hellfighter's flank is going to prove out to be quite a crucial one. If Hellfighter's able to successfully flank and get these kills, it should be a sealed deal. God's Reign, they've got no clue that there's a man on the flank. Hellfighter finds one. And now Sai, he's got way too many angles to worry about. Another play in the back lines, and Side Dreams is still just waiting for him to pop out. And knows going to be the answer. Both these players are just
One
playing so
enemy
disciplined. And Side Dreams able to isolate these duels. He's doing it
try, mate.
perfectly. Another tap to go. And the man peeks out and Sai clutches it out. This man has proven out to be the clutch meister. And he clutches it once again.
2 clutches in Lotus. Another dream clutch to kick things off on Lotus. Amaterasu has been phenomenal in getting Velocity the B control so far. 2 rounds back to back, he's able to slip past God's Rain defenses and clear up the B side for his team.
One enemy remaining.
And this was a round where Velocity were destined to win. But Sai just doesn't lose these clutches.
Inside so far indeed has been a huge hero, a playmaker for Godsreen. The Clutch Meister, call him whatever you want to call. But he's been stepping up to the occasion and really making it hurt for the opponents. The way he was able to isolate those duels, he got the callouts and exactly where every single player is too. He knew that Amaterasu is towards that spawn area. Just waited for him, tapped the spike, waited for him to peek out. Perfectly isolated those duels. And that's what experience brings you, ladies and gentlemen. Velocity Gaming, they got the site control in the hand. And Godsreen are being forced back. They're probably going to try to play this on and retake Seekers out as well. Should give a decent amount of information on where exactly the players are positioned. Lockdown initiated too. Velocity Gaming will need to respect that and fall back inside Dreams once again. Able to find these peaks. Look at the picks from Godsreen. Trade things out so perfectly, but Velocity Gaming, even they are able to find the picks of their own.
God's Rain at least have been able to push Velocity back towards tree. There's one player who can make a difference over here, and that's gonna be Hellfighter. He's gone unchecked so far. God's Rain have to play on the back of his timings. The flash is perfect, and everybody peeks out from Velocity. That's how you win the round. This is quite a change up from God's Rain. This is the only round where Autumn did not push aggressively into A main. And that's what happens when he doesn't. Velocity are able to capitalize on this A hit. Lockdown from both the sides put this round in overdrive, where everybody was forced to make a move with milliseconds left on the clock. And when the clock pressures God's Rain, that's when they crumble. Velocity able to stabilize from that clutch loss. At least are able to farm up money once again, which now puts God's Rain on the other side of this brutal eco.
Look at him. On an eco, as you said. Velocity Gaming indeed really just turning up the heat and playing with the team so well. That flash and peek was just perfect, and we also saw the counter lockdown being initiated from them.
Yeah. Scally has his Seekers though. He captured the orb towards that C mound area, which is something that Velocity have been able to consistently do. At some point, God's Rain will have to stop that. They can't let Velocity walk away with the C orb every single time. At least this time, God's Rain are aware about the impending B hit. But it's not going to be the case. Velocity send the Trailblazer through that region, but then they're hitting A, which completely lies defenseless for the moment. The rotations from God's Rain are inbound, but I think Velocity can beat the timing window. They can get here before God's Rain can.
But still, at least they're prepared for what exactly is trying to be made over here from the opponents. They've already found their way on the site. Hellfighter was somehow able to find the kills through the smoke, and now this is where the retaliation, the resistance is from Godsreen. That's a good fire being dealt. And Sai, as soon as he peeks out, there's a bullet to his dome. And Velocity Gaming, another round secure in their hands. 3-3 is the scoreline. The lead that Godsreen had is now being nullified.
I mean, they weren't supposed to have that lead in the first place. They gave Sai away a free round, and I think God's Rain will be happy with that. Even in this eco, they managed to get 3 kills, keep Velocity humble. So that's great. Now massive ultimates available for Velocity though. You've got the Seekers as well as the Viper's Pit. I wish I could call the Omen ultimate a big one as well, but it hasn't really been utilized by any team really well so far. Myriad efficiently exchanged towards the B side. Paranoias, Trailblazers, Guiding Lights, everything you've got is being utilized. And at the end of it all, Velocity just get the orb, but not too much map control. No picks either.
Yeah. Everyone's outside B. And Velocity Gaming.
At least with this, they've managed to bait out all the useful utility of God's Rain. Now the only thing they have is the nano swarms on the C site. Meanwhile, Velocity still have their flashes available on Excali, which
I've
can
got your
be
trail.
the difference maker when the execute begins. Seeker is thrown out as well. This should trigger things.
And it indeed will. It was from the shadows used as well. Nothing really found much from that. Showstopper used to try and create some space on the side, and he has been able to do so far. And that's going to find two, actually. Velocity Gaming. Great finds from their side, and Godsreen. All the three players now being pushed back on a save. It's a 3-on-5. You might as well not take the gamble, and that's what they say. B site, it's a little tough to make the retake possible if you're not able to find those initial duels or isolate those duels in general. And Amaterasu is already on hunt. He's moving up all the way from C main towards the C site.
The B side does look quite weak for God's Reign. They were actively trying to defend it, you know. Quite a lot of utility was exchanged from both the sides. But then when Velocity, in fact, God's Reign didn't make any attempts to re-clear that area. Instead, they just tried to play reactively based on whatever Velocity were throwing at them. The fake teleport from Eccles towards the A side kept God's Reign stationed over there. And by the time they tried to venture back towards the B side, there was already a big rocket in their face, which Doma fired.
Tactical timeout from Godsreen just to try and know exactly what the opponents are doing. And they're quite precise as well for them. They have been proven out quite helpful so far. Velocity Gaming too, they definitely do have something on their back that they do just want to let out. B-side indeed has been looking quite weak. And it needs to be reinforced a little bit better in the future too. That Showstopper was used. Makes a lot of sense. The players respected that, fell back, but still the amount of map control, the way they got the C site so effortlessly really makes the defense question. And then as soon as they lost out on those two players after that Showstopper, indeed they needed to try and reset things, so that's why they went for an eco. That's why they went for a save. Those two players who died shouldn't really have a lot of money left over, but still they've got 3 big guns in the backpack.
Autumn's got the AWP now. Light shields on most of the members of God's Reign, but it shouldn't make that much of a difference because Velocity have the big guns anyway. So they can afford to play with the light shields.
I'll
At
show
least this
you,
lets
scary
God's Reign purchase all the utility, and that utility has been a crucial factor for them. But look at the switch up. God's Reign have not used their KJ util at all. Vibor usually places it towards the C side, but instead of placing it and just playing passively, he goes for a very deep alarm bot.
Yeah. Interesting alarm bot though, right? He really does want to rely on that quick and early information. And the alarm bot's broken too by Amaterasu. So now that's just going to be brewing up a little bit of more suspense in the hearts of Godsreen. Trailblazer spots out the Opera on the A side, and maybe that might just be a call like given away for them to try and stack up together and make a quick burst on the site.
And because the
Alms crosses train towards street. And also Paranoid are trying to nullify the man in the back lines as well. His position's known, so now the Opera is not going to be able to do a lot.
But the moment you say that, Autumn strikes once again, making sure nobody from tree can get inside, but Excali's already snuck through. Hold on though, he's not gonna plant A. They're gonna try to make a pivot towards the B site.
30
Tix can
seconds
actually
left.
stop this. He's been unchecked so far. And I don't think Velocity will re-clear the B main region. They don't!
enemy
Plant is
remaining.
gone! Vibor also
Strike
strikes out at the
down
same
B.
time. They play off of each other.
Sentry. Turret down.
A really quick adjustment from Godsreen. Tix not letting go of that B
10
side control
seconds
that
left.
easily. Amaterasu falling back all the way to C. He knows C side has to be the only side that's left over. He will also get the plant down quite easily. He doesn't really have a lot of time left over, so that he needs to make some crucial and some critical plays happen. Doesn't have a lot of time left over too. A good read from Vibor. He knew that there's a high chance there might just be a push coming through. And Vibor somehow manages to connect that shot on Amaterasu, soften him up a bit more. 28 HP left. He can't do a lot, and he will be sealed.
Yeah, Vibor had the right read over there. Amaterasu had no choice but to make an aggro play. He can't just stick on the site and hope that he'll be able to isolate the frags. He needed to make a proactive move of his own. And the board doesn't give him the opportunity. Great adjustment from God's Reign this time. I was kind of worried because when Vibhor placed that early alarm bot on C, and as soon as it was broken, God's Reign were not sure if Velocity are actually committing to the A side or if it's a fake, because, you know, presence is also showcased on the C side, so God Reign didn't really make the preemptive rotations. But with Autumn's superior firepower on the A side, they were able to repel Velocity into B, where the trap was sprung by Tix.
Hawk out. Blinded.
So far, the scoreline's 4-4-2. There are the players available towards Rubble. And Cryptsu talked about this, right? You should try to take the aim in control aggressively. We saw God's Reign do that over and over again in the first initial rounds, but then later on, they have sort of given it away. And that's helping Velocity Gaming gain a decent amount of map control behalf of that. And that's why they're also able to push up so deep. Get that orb in the hand, too.
Obscuring vision.
There's not a lot of resistance towards that main site, so Velocity Gaming are probably going to just peek out the smoke as well. The amount of visual denying utility that's available on the hands of Velocity, it's really helping them creep and crawl their way all the way deep in.
Yeah, but this is a different approach from Velocity. Instead of going directly to the A side, they try to apply pressure towards stairs, hoping that they'll catch a pick. But God's Reign see this coming from a mile away. They know that Velocity is now trying to hit the B side, and Autumn's prepared. That's his second kill towards B. At least the snake bite will keep him away. So Velocity can plant at the very least. But then again, where are they going to play for post-plant? They don't have a Matarasu, so no nanoswarms available. They'll have to fight their way through.
Yeah. Shorty up close and personal effects just push up. It's going to be a little disaster. That might just brew up soon enough. And Eccles! Oh, he gets greeted with a shorty to his face in the back, and Autumn with a 3K. Steps up huge for his team. But nicely done. They're finally able to reinforce. They're finally able to get the control back in their hands on the B side. It was supposed to be a weak link for them, but they've managed to find a counter to the executes of VLT.
Yeah, that is quite sharp. And Velocity have been using this B-link area quite often, you know. Every time they encounter a difficulty on the A side, they just quickly pivot towards B. And now that God's Reign have read into this pattern, they will make sure that they can't exploit that B side again and again.
Speak about exploiting, and God's Reign, man, I'm telling you, these tactical timeouts have been helping him out so much. And so far, considering how close this matchup have been, Velocity Gaming definitely will have some trouble even in the second half, considering they are on the attacking side, and we know this map sort of does favor the attackers to a certain extent. And Velocity, they're not really able to make the best out of it, so this is of course going to be a little problematic for them in the defending side. But you never know, man. Some teams are really just solid on that defending side, and Velocity Gaming, they have been good on all the sides in the past, but so far there have been quite a lot of weaknesses that have been found.
For all the people watching, let me just quickly remind you that if you head on to the Hindi stream on Loco, there's a nice giveaway. You can win Riot Cash worth 1,000 Valorant points, so use that if you want. But Autumn wants to use this opportunity to find an early pick. The Guiding Light finds his presence, so the Paint Chill are thrown so that he can get pushed back. And look at the amount of utility that Velocity have to use simply to keep Autumn away.
Yeah.
They use the Snake Bite, they use the Paint Shell, they even use the Guiding Light. And still they don't find a kill.
But look at the amount of utilities that's being placed from God's Reign towards the B side too.
Yeah.
There's 2 nanoswarms and an alarm bot and also a turret guided towards the main.
Yeah.
That means they really are looking for to resist this B control no matter what. Lockdown being initiated too from VLT. Maybe they want to fake a C presence here.
And so far the fake is working really well. God's Reign have 3 players stationed on C. But Vibhor's alarm bot setup is gonna boil anyone alive. And when the nanoswarms don't kill, the Phantom does. Spikes dropped in such a deep location, it will be difficult for them to recover. Eccles makes a mad dash, and he tries to go for the plant as well, but the Trailblazer gets him. Teleport keeps him alive for only 2 more seconds, but that is it. God's Reign were destined to win this round from the get-go.
And Velocity Gaming's these rounds are really starting to fall off from their grip. Yep. You're going to have hands to your foreheads when you're going to lose out around like that. That switch up, as I said, from KJ, which was Wapor, it was quite a crucial one. He had every single piece of utility facing towards B main. So fantastic read from Godsreen. 2 nano swarms and an alarm bot. As soon as it gets triggered, because the jet dashes in, he instantly triggers both the alarm bots as well. And he instantly triggers both the nano swarms, my bad. But yeah, you get what just happened there. So perfect read from Godsreen. They know, they're able to read into what VLT are trying to bring to the board.
Yeah, the fake attempt from the lockdown. It bought Velocity a couple of crucial seconds where Godsreen left the B side defenseless. But why do they need defense when they have Vibor? He's playing so well today. He's been consistent on all 3 maps. And now he's being the hero that's taking Godsreen forward to victory.
Dream, indeed a hero, man.
Yeah, even Sai has been a hero, dude. Not just Vibor.
Sai is being that clutch meister, that impact fragger a team needs.
Yeah, 3 clutches in the series. That is humongous.
And not just easy ones. Those were quite tough.
Yeah.
And with the way he was able to isolate every single duel in those fights, it's impressive. That's what, as I said, experience brings you. And when you are quite familiar to the opponent playing teams as well, these guys are good friends off the server too. So they probably know the playing style a little bit. That might just help them out to give a little bit of upper edge. But Velocity Gaming. Oh, this Rolling Thunder. They expected a B take, but there's no one available outside B, so that's going to be a little problematic. But at least they got the information with the Rolling Thunder that there's not a lot of presence outside B.
Oh, Doma, look at this play that he's trying to go for. He's trying to cut off the rotations. But Vibor uses lockdown, and this is going to force Velocity to be on a timer. The paint shell is not going to be enough to break that lockdown, but at least they're able to block the spike before the lockdown gets triggered, and Eccles escapes using his ultimate. He cancels it. Wait, what? I thought he dodged the lockdown. He still gets detained, and Sai's able to decapitate them both. Oh no.
1 enemy remaining.
They're getting desecrated over here.
What?
Ready.
Did Eccles cancel his ult too early? Most Omens do this when they just teleport away for a moment, and as soon as the lockdown is popped, they go back to the same place. But as soon as he came back, he was still detained. That's a mechanical error.
Yep, he canceled his ult a little bit too early. We saw the cancel coming through as well. That sound cue of ult being canceled, we heard it. So yeah, he canceled it. I think so. It was like milliseconds. Really tough to notice.
Yeah.
But those milliseconds can make a huge difference too. And just because of that, Eccles got detained. There was no spike plant, and Godsreen got their hands on the site once again quite easily. But you got to give it up. You got to give it up for Godsreen, man. They're really able to come up with these counters where Velocity Gaming, no matter what they're trying to bring to the table, they're just not able to find that cure.
Yeah, they've tried quite a lot of different approaches. Amathras is surviving the initial Rolling Thunder was big enough. He used the momentum of that massive ult to just strafe back to safety. And I thought that could make a difference. Even the lockdown wasn't supposed to create so many problems for Velocity, but God's ranges make it work. Oh, but look at Tix this time. He's on a reconnaissance mission.
I like that. I like that change. This is the first time Vertix is going to be on the flank, but there is a turret positioned in the back lines too, so his flank is going to be given away. But still, even if his flank is spotted, it's always going to have this little back thought in their minds that there is someone on the flank that might just cause a lot of issues. Amaterasu way too close. He could have met his makers, but still is able to stay alive. Tix with quite a delayed flank towards Rumble. He will be spotted out as well. Sidedreams is able to get 2 of his own, but he will be instantly nullified and shut down at Velocity Gaming. They finally get a grip inside the game, and they finally get around in the first half. It is 7-5, ladies and gentlemen, but we will be returning back soon enough with the second half too. But for now, with how things have been looking like for VLT, they've indeed been struggling a lot. So in the second half, I highly doubt we're going to be seeing the similar type of pattern from VLT, considering they're going to be pushed back to a defense. And VLT, they've really been respecting their opponents quite a lot.
Yeah. I mean, 2 of those rounds that Velocity got was partially because Amaterasu was able to find the gaps on the B site. And even though Amaterasu's presence as a lurker has been significant in faking out the presence and giving his team the opportunity, God's Reign are most likely able to push back and take the site for themselves. Can they keep it up in the second half as well? We'll find out after a short break.
Hit for my wins, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Hit multiple wins, I get it in.
Presenting Hyundai i20N line. It's time to play.
Hit for my wins, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Hit multiple wins, I get it in.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this matchup between Velocity Gaming and Godsreen. It's heating up as the time passes by, and we're finally back inside the second half for this. Pistol round's going to matter quite a lot for Velocity Gaming if they do want to resist this entire lead, or at least a little bit of lead that Godsreen have managed to find over them. With that being said, the main issue of Velocity Gaming in the first half was that they were sort of predictable, man. Whatever pattern they were trying to bring in the board, Godsreen were easily able to predict that, especially those B pushes.
Now the Viper can finally start coming into play. This Viper util wasn't being properly utilized, not to its fullest extent in the first half, but now that Hellfighter's on defense, this Viper util kinda doubles him up as a pseudo sentinel. Doma's positioning to its aggressive C mount gives them quite a lot of information. They know that Godsreen are hitting the B site, and still Velocity give it up. They're confident that their retake will work.
Makes sense, man. They've got a lot of retake utilities, right? They've got 2 controllers that can help them establish that retake. Omen as well is available right there. So yeah, makes sense why they're so confident in their retake abilities. Tix and Sai are just holding off of this contact. As soon as Sai is able to find one, will fall back and Tix will try to trade things out. But Sai's still able to get 2. That's a massive pick from Sai. This man is unstoppable so far. Autumn was able to catch one man falling off guard as well. And Doma in the back lines, his position's compromised. Godsreen, they started to deny this entire retake from Velocity Gaming.
And Doma's position's known. Even if he wins the fight against Hoax, there's no way he can kill the other 2 players on time. It's gone. It's done and dusted. God's Reign take the pistol for themselves with brute force.
Did you see how quick that was?
Yeah. See, that's the pace that Velocity also needed. I mean,
Yeah.
even in this particular round, with Doma's aggressive positioning towards C, and all the utility that was being expended by God's Reign on the A site, it gave away the fact that the A site is not going to be hit. They are going to try to crunch B from Link. And Velocity knew that.
One down.
Despite having that information, they let God's Reign go for the plant, assuming that they will be strong enough on the retake, but they were just simply wrong.
Shadows traveling.
All right, and Velocity Gaming now, they're just left to try and do something with only pistols in the hands. Sounds next to impossible because the opponents have the better weaponry for sure. Now everyone's going to start a group up outside B. A good stun to try and nullify that push. But that's not really going to do a lot. They were able to get the man down, Tix. But look at Godsreen, what they're proving up. They've got the entire A side for themselves. There's no one available on A because heavy presence was detected outside B.
God's Reign sneaking into its A, and Velocity have the right idea, but once again, they don't have the idea quick enough to deny the spike plant. Sai's prepared for this one.
One left.
He's brave enough to re-peek the angle again, and they're just dropping into his crosshair one by one, like a sack of potatoes hitting the ground.
And that's going to be 9 rounds on the board soon enough. We might just see that double-digit hit too. It's going to be a complete bonus round soon enough for Godsreen, and yeah, now we're going to move on forward towards the bonus round. So this should give an upper edge for VLT that they needed. We talked about how passive they were on their attacking side, how slow they took the initial phases. At the start, the B take worked out, and later on, they started getting capitalized and compromised quite easily. But this is where the slow and tactical nature will work out on the defending side. But you still need to be quick with those rotations.
Yeah, you need to be quick and fearless with those rotations. You must move fearlessly. And now that Velocity have the superior weaponry, I hope that they can start taking early fights. If they let God's Reign creep up and cover the distance, then even these Spectres and Stingers can do quite a lot. Stun. Ready to set up Autumn for success. There are smokes that God's Reign have placed, but they're reluctant to peek out because of this toxin screen that Hellfighter has activated. So yeah, for now, God's Reign just fake presence towards the B site. Meanwhile, Velocity has Doma pushing out towards Rubble, and once again, he can act like an early warning system, but what are they gonna do with that early warning? What will they do with that information?
Yeah. Outside B main, 4 players stacked up. Really good stuff for God's Reign, huh?
So far, yeah.
Being utilized.
I've
And
got
Velocity
your
Gaming,
trail.
get ready with the utilities. Instantly, the wall's being popped up. Snake Bite's being utilized as well, but the man's already found his way on the site. Good stuff from Hellfighter. A flick just clips his wings, and now it also puts them in an advantageous position. But they instantly reroute their way all the way back to the C site, where Amaterasu is ready with his KJ setup.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, and this push has been stopped in its tracks. God's Reign don't have an opportunity on B. Nothing on C either. They're hoping to rush back towards the B site where Doma and the Sky are waiting for them. The flash is ineffective, and this is a deadly crossfire that Velocity have over here. God's Reign gets shredded.
But with that bonus round, they also managed to get a decent amount of info. Now they know the KJ is playing on the C site with that sort of a setup. Crips, this is huge from God's Reign. They used this bonus round as sort of an information gathering round because you saw the pushes that they try to make. They were just trying to be really quick, and then later on, as soon as things didn't work out, they tried to reroute to C side, hoping that maybe that can be there. But on C side, the setup was revealed, so now they know how the defensive setup is looking like. And look, it's the similar setup being done once again by Amaterasu.
Okay. Everybody funneled towards A, and this is gonna be a brawl. Velocity, God's Reign hitting each other with everything they've got. A 4v4 fight. Doma doesn't need backup. He's alone to get a triple. And he doesn't stop with the momentum. This push from God's Reign thwarted. And Doma is an absolute beast, but he sticks around for a little too long. Overstays his welcome. And God's Reign, by simply their unforgiving nature, are able to overcome the hurdles that Velocity placed in their way, in their path.
Yeah.
Now the spike's planted for top.
Amaterasu left in a 1-on-2 clutch situation where he's definitely going to be feeling the nerves. Look at how locked in this man is. He knows how this clutch matters to him. Now position known. They know exactly where Amaterasu is going to come from. Considering now as that's happening, one player's position compromised, just trying to chip away the damage, trying to gather the attention of Amaterasu, and as soon as the attention's gathered, the man on top will peek out, and Side Dream seals the deal. Perfectly done, God's Reign. A good crossfire setup.
God's Reign, man. What can I even say about this particular round? When Doma got the triple, I thought everything is going swellingly well for Velocity. But God's Reign just adamant on fighting again and again and again.
Those trades in that brawl really did happen. And as I said, the reason why they contested towards the A site, the main reason is that because they knew the KJ setup is on the C site with that previous round. That just revealed a lot of intentions, and we might just see that KJ replacement coming in soon enough. The KJ might just be needed to be put on some other sites. Let's see if that's going to happen or not, because VLT, KJ can be their win condition if used properly. You saw for God's Reign too, to deny that B control, Killjoy was the main win condition. But still, I mean, let's find out how the storyline's going to be looking like in the future times. as we've definitely got the players in the front lines in. Now they're stacked up outside C. We thought that we might just see a little change coming in inside the setup, but that's not going to be the case. Instead, there's Godsreen, 4 members outside C, and it might just look like a quick take from them, but no. Godsreen, at least they're being forced to buy off a little bit more time from Velocity. Godsreen will need to respect that.
This respect is actually quite warranted from Godsreen. We saw something similar from Velocity in the first half as well, where they would just try to capture orbs, and Godsreen would let them. Now, I am surprised that Velocity is letting Godsreen have their lay of the land, have their piece of the pie. But this is fine enough, because both the sides use the Trailblazer. Velocity's Trailblazer will determine Godsreen onto its the C site, and they will adjust accordingly. They're moving towards A rapidly. But with Vibor trying to sell the fake towards the B site, he might just misdirect Velocity.
I knew it too, man. They're not going to go towards C. They showed some early presence. Pretty much trying to pull the rotations off towards that site, and then they went all the way
30
back.
seconds left.
We're seeing quite a lot of indecisive natures and indecisive moments being done, and Velocity Gaming Hellfighters in the close quarters will be spotted out. Still he gets two.
C.
Massive frags. LeBron was there to trade things out, and it's a 3-on-2 scenario. Or 3-on-3 scenario in which Velocity Gaming might just have the advantage. And now they definitely do.
One enemy remaining.
Velocity Gaming have the man
10
advantage.
seconds
They're
left.
going to start to move up forward. Godsreen getting picked off one after the other. He knows there's a man in the close quarters, and Eccles will seal the deal.
Well, it's going quite well for Godsreen. Velocity. Even with this performance, even though this round was close enough, it doesn't put Godsreen in any sort of danger. Well, I mean, a little bit of economic danger, yes. But Velocity did quite well to adapt to whatever Godsreen was throwing at them. I really thought for a second that Velocity will get bamboozled over there. But they made the right adjustment in the end.
At least it's double digit for the opponents, right? Once again, Doma's pushing up quite deep. He's doing that strategy over and over again where he's trying to deny that aim in control. And even if later on the opponents will try to get the aim in control in their hand, at least they know that aim in presence is there, and it's quite heavy too. Godsreen, they try to flood inside the B, but it's being denied quite well enough. But Autumn managed to sneak all the way deep in, and Godsreen, they find 2 of their own kills.
I mean, this Cosmic Divide made it very obvious as to where Godsreen want to go. And I thought Velocity wouldn't fall for the trap, but they continue fighting in the one place where Godsreen can actually win. And they end up losing 2 members like that. Velocity will now attempt to crunch it. Oh my god, this crunch is actually working. Seriously, Doma's able to get away with that? That is very surprising. Lockdown destroyed as well, so now it's an even fight. They try to spam out of the smokes, but Doma wins the fight yet again. He might just be on for an ace over here. And Velocity overwhelmed them.
But still, that round was way too close for comfort, man. They won that round just completely off of Velocity's heroics. Off of Doma's heroics. That's what I meant to say. Look at this. He was able to get away with 3 kills. To be honest, as soon as they saw that Cosmic Divide being used, as you mentioned, it made things quite obvious that the B site's going to be taken away. But still, the picks that were being found from Godsreen, quite impressive one. Otto was able to dash all the way deep inside the site. He was able to get one with the Stinger, and then the player in the back was able to follow it up with another one.
Okay, this was supposed to be a very fast one, but Velocity keep the pace in check. Instead, now they've doubled up with 2 players on rubble. Eccles and Doma anchoring it. At the same time, there's a Viper spit to its C, so the only real option that Godsreen have is to hit the B site. Unless they can somehow bamboozle Velocity into throwing away this advantage. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
Oh man, this is just incredible. While Autumn is able to get that frag, even Hoax backs him up. B-side was supposed to be a weakness, and they exploited really well. And now that Eccles tries to backstab them, Tix holds it. Doma's about to be in a lot of trouble soon. If he can dodge the Trailblazer, he won't be able to dodge the fault line. At least he dashes back to safety. The satchel helps him maneuver quickly enough. But they still can't stop Godsreen from getting into A. Oh, never mind. Godsreen aren't going to its A. Doma's prepared over here. He's able to shred them. And this is perfect. He dinks the other guy as well, so he's done more than enough.
30 seconds left.
Unfortunately, it is still in the favor
Spike
of
planted.
God's reign. And Hellfighter
Yeah,
now left
exactly.
with everything to do.
It's a 1-on-4, next to impossible to pull off. Even if the players are quite low, the regrowth was utilized to try and patch one player up. So Hoax is at least back to decent amount of HP. Hellfighter, oh, the duel's been given away. Tix loses out on that duel. He wins that one too. The God's Reign, they know they've got this round secured pretty much. All they need to do is just play disciplined, and that's what they do. Hellfighter, on the other hand, will go for a save. With that being said, God's Reign, they will be put on 11th round win. Quite insane stuff. And Velocity Gaming just on that 8.
Toxin screen down.
What does Velocity do now? They are the ones running out of money. They are the ones in trouble. They can't afford to have an economic meltdown now, not when God's Reign are so close to map point. That too, in the elimination bracket. Velocity had the right read, you know? I mean, they started off this round in a really good fashion. A double stack towards A, perfect. Viper split towards C, perfect. Velocity knew that the B side is weak, and they were okay with that. They had the setup in place to stop that push. And even if they can't stop it, Velocity have been comfortable with the B retake so far. Doma's positioning over there was perfect, but then again, as soon as they tried to reflank via a main, Tix was able to catch hold of the backstabbers. And the fact that Hoax and Autumn are able to get away with frags like that, it's criminal, man. That was a contact play from them. They didn't even use much util to get those frags. Straight up contact beat, which Velocity fall for.
And that's the problem, right? Being able to get away with kills like that is definitely going to hurt them in the longer run, that's for sure. And Velocity Gaming should really try to deny that type of a deal, because none of us expected them being able to get away with kills like that. But they did somehow. It worked out. But you cannot expect that thing to work out over and over again, right? Now Velocity know what's cooking up over here. So God's Reign, they will need to try and bring up some switch up, and that's why maybe we also saw that timeout being called. Early guiding light to get some information. They do. They know there's some players available, quite aggressive, and they would start to fall back.
Right there.
Oh, such a slow approach from God's Reign this time. They're assuming that Velocity won't have much weaponry, and while that's true, Velocity have forced everything they can. They squeeze the fight together. They let go of the full shields, take only half ones, and they've sacrificed a little bit of utility in order to make sure those rifles are available. Whatever they can't buy with rifles, they've done with Bulldogs and Spectres.
Here.
Flashes towards A. From God's Reign doesn't really bamboozle Velocity. They continue holding their defaults. The B-side approach can work for God's Reign, you know, because the Killjoy utility has already been used up. And now this Rolling Thunder vacates the site. The lockdown should help Velocity gather a little bit of land grab in the retake, but by that time, God's Reign will already be in post-plant positions, and very strong ones that too, so I don't think it's going to help them much.
Yeah, there's 3 players towards this broken door. And look at this, as soon as the door's broken, and Eccles will be overwhelmed with the amount of players that's in front of him. And Doma on the site with his teammate. He was at least able to get 1 kill in his hands, but he's way too low for comfort. And God's Reign, they flow in with a lot of kills. The floodgates are open, and Hellfighter's way too low, man. 29 HP. As soon as he goes for the tap, there will be a flash on his face. But still, look at the amount of respect that the players of God's Reign are showing towards Hellfighter. He's trying to isolate the duel against Hoax, but nothing can be found, and Hoax surprises him with a shorty to his face. Another round from the side of God's Reign. Nicely done. This B-side has really been proven out to be a huge kryptonite for Velocity Gaming. They're losing that control over and over again.
Yeah, and at one point it seemed like Velocity were okay with God's Reign getting away with the B-side. Now it's starting to be a bit of a problem. What Velocity thought was their strength is actually turning out to be the chink in their armor.
I am everywhere.
And by those misconstrued assumptions and those inopportune moments, Velocity now face themselves at breaking point. They have to have a hard, deep look in the mirror and realize that God's Reign is about to eliminate them.
I have a huge question here. They're just positioning their KJ on the C side over and over again. We haven't seen a change coming through that. But I personally feel like there should be some fluidity in that KJ too, man. She should try to rotate around on different sides as well. Try to put her setup, for example, on the B side, because so far B side has been quite vulnerable. And God's Reign, since they met with a complete resistance on the C side when they try to go for it, they haven't really went for the C side once again after that.
Yeah, that's true. That's a pattern that God's Reign are exploiting quite often. They're also exploiting this B side quite often. Look at them, they're heading there once again. And Velocity now this time very afraid of playing aggressively. They don't even have the right weaponry to play aggressively, even if they wanted to. The best that they can do is hold from B upper and Link. And the moment they try to spam through, Autumn will shoot them without even seeing their faces. Hellfighter kills sticks towards C, and that's the flanker down. But this play from Excali could have been beautiful. Amaterasu follows up, and this might just give Velocity a little glimmer of hope. They're extending further, man. God's Reign are losing their members. This is exactly what Velocity wanted. They bait God's Reign into a false sense of security. Time running out. Doesn't have time for the fake plants, and Eccles runs and guns him down. Velocity stay alive for yet another round.
Perfectly done from Velocity. And if you talk about with the way these things have been going off so far, as I said, there needs to be some sort of versatility or variety in that KJ play. He's putting that alarm bot towards the B site, trying to detect some presence, but that's the only stuff that's there. That's why they're always able to get away with the entry on the site. Even this time we saw that entry being done, but luckily enough for them, with those Spectres, they were able to get away with the kills. They positioned themselves in angles where they had never positioned themselves before. It sort of caught the opponents off guard. Showstopper used, and it's not going to find anyone, just to put a little bit of fears in the opponent's mind.
Well, after all those heroics, it's still back to square one, you know? No picks found.
Right there.
And Toma used a big game changer, which he probably could have saved for another occasion, but hey, he was completely justified in trying to make that move. And now God's Reign, making no secrets about their approach towards the A site, are boldly challenging Velocity in this region. They even get revealed on purpose. They are hoping that Velocity will try to make preemptive rotations. And I'm only assuming this because God's Reign, their reluctance to make their move towards the A side kind of indicates that they might hit B once again. Bebor is already trying to use his nano swarms, hoping to clear out any piece of utilities that Velocity have placed over there. And in doing so, he broke Amaterasu's alarm bot.
Exactly. The alarm bot's broken now, and finally Velocity Gaming at least are able to get those crates in the hands, but the double peek from God's Reign is really working out in their favors. The Bulldogs are going to start a strike in. That's where Velocity Gaming will at least get an advantage in their hands, but Wabor is moving up way too deep and up close and personal. Hellfighter might just meet Wabor in the front, but Hellfighter wins out that duel. And God's Reign, those overextending plays are really starting to hurt them. We know they only need one more round in the hand, but they still need to hold their horses a little bit more. And from the back lines, Amaterasu will capitalize and shut down Hoax.
Now God's Reign finally look in a little bit of trouble. They are the ones running out of money. Velocity survived the massive 2-round deficit which they had, and they rack up. They bounce back in terms of economy. So at least money's not going to be a concern. But God's Reign, they've been trying to use the same trick that worked for them in the past, except this time, Velocity isn't really weak on B. God's Reign will have to rethink their approach. Velocity's weaknesses in the first few rounds of this half kind of gave God's Reign a sense that B sites can be taken again and again like this, but with Velocity not exactly changing their setup, but they are changing the way they rotate, that creates problems for God's Reign. And now they're on Nico once again. Very less chances of them securing this round, which means Velocity will most likely get to 11, and at that point, we are looking at another potential overtime.
Eccles did catch a bullet to his knee. And Velocity Gaming once again towards that A side. Look at how quiet Godsreen are. This is a huge change in the pace so far. Godsreen, they've always been making a lot of sounds, and now finally the silence is going to be broke out. All the players are straight up going to try to funnel on the site. A little bit of whip, but finally manages to connect those bullets, and Vapor will manage to shut down the man in the clotheslines. And Godsreen, they flipped the switch. They flipped the tables against Velocity Gaming, and now they've only got 2 more players alive. On the other hand, Godsreen, they've also managed to upgrade the guns. A huge moment for them where they can establish a win against VLT. Tix did make a statement. They just want to get a rematch against VLT, and so far, it's been working out wonders, man. Godsreen, they've proven their caliber against VLT. Rolling Thunder being used. And this is where Godsreen was sort of starting to go forward. Hellfighter was still somehow able to get away with the murder onto Vapor in the clotheslines, but Amaterasu will be shut down in the end. Godsreen, perfectly done. The post plans were played nicely.
Not just the post plans, man. Everything from Godsreen fell right into the place. They have knocked out what could have potentially been the strongest team in the tournament, ladies and gentlemen. Velocity Gaming started off this whole group stage undefeated. And given the caliber of the players that they had in their lineup, one wouldn't be surprised if Velocity were the ones who make it to finals. But they have caused this upset. Godsreen have knocked out the kings of the group stage. They've knocked out what could have been the strongest team in the tournament. And thereby they have established their supremacy. Eccles and Doma, players like those who have proven their caliber on much bigger stages, have now fallen at the hands of underdogs. The kings have been toppled, and the throne lies vacant. This is anyone's tournament at this point.
Exactly. And Godsreen, what a way to shut down your opponents, man. In the first map, it did seem like it was quite a one-sided affair. It felt like it should be Velocity's game. We all thought that it might just be a 2-0. But then later on, Godsreen, they started to steal away the win. They started to get the grip together. And they started to clench their fists. They started to close it. And well, Godsreen in the end came through victorious, knocking out Velocity Gaming away from the split one of Valorant Challenger South Asia. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to push to a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hit for my wins, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the bench, I get it in. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up, way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up, way up. Now we gon' way up, now we going. On track, now we gon' way up, way up. Now we gon' way up, now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, this is 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that limit squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up, way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up, way up. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. I put that on my name, that I put them on. I put myself on stage as they sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, this the 7 C's. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. I put that on my name, that I put them on. I put myself on stage as they sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, this the 7 C's. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. I put that on my name, that I put them on. I put myself on stage as they sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, this the 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. I put that on my name, that I put them on. I put myself on stage as they sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, this the 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along.